Welcome, everybody, to another installment of the Dialogue with an Elite Insider series. This one managed to evade my detection for quite some time, and I think I know why. I didn't want to do this intro before I had read this whole thing, but I was not the biggest fan of the Illuminator13 Opportunity Knocks Again dialogue. I don't want to basically spoil the AMA, but it kind of starts out slow. They're very obtuse with their questionings. I'm not sure if English is their first language. The person who wrote this might be very young. I didn't like the questions. I didn't like the responses. I shouldn't say I didn't like the questions. I did not like the responses. I did not like the attitudes the author picked up about their responses either. And because sometimes it does feel kind of noble and like there's some kind of cause, or that the needle is pointing towards here, and then they just go in like all of these weird directions, and it might just be like a really bad language. But sometimes I feel like their English is very, very good. They're very effective at communicating. I feel like these are big words, you know what I mean? So yeah, overall, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Illuminator13 AMA. If you want like secret society esoteric knowledge, check out the Hidden Hand AMA and check out the narration AMA, which means to share in truth in Latin. It's spelled backwards, or was it te verum indicare or something like that. Check those out first. Again, I had found out about the Hidden Hand AMA and the counterpart dialogue. I feel like a lot of people have, and someone I think it was a Law of One subreddit. Someone shared the Illuminator13 dialogue, and I was like, how do we miss a dialogue or some kind of communication with these bloodline families? This is basically just someone saying, I'm bloodline, I have special access knowledge. And then later they say they've said everything they say, and I feel like they didn't say much. I mean, I guess they do want to be like reassuring, but there's a spiritual warfare situation, and we're in 2026 about it, and it's getting worse. And so maybe there is a reason to kind of panic about these things and to not be so. It just like, I do not like this author's attitude. I guess maybe I'll spoil it. They do say they are service to others despite being bloodline. They just have very limp-wristed or weak attitudes, and I feel like they put way too much salt in the answers they give, and they have very strange perspectives of reality, and they do not do a good job like kind of filling in the details between what maybe it is like a diluted consensus reality. I feel like they're whatever it is that's going on in their mind, they're not necessarily doing a good job of protecting or projecting, why they're so enlightened or what kind of knowledge they have to share. Yeah, I could spoil a lot here. I do say more of my feelings about this AMA, so if you just want to click on this video and then just kind of see like maybe this isn't the best AMA. I mean, there still is good stuff. It still is interesting there are still interesting answers, and it's interesting to see what this author, like their attitudes towards bloodline stuff and secret society stuff. I mean, they're like the mystery element here is what's so enticing. I just think their answers were not as interesting as the two aforementioned AMAs, the Hidden Hand, the Narration counterpart, which you're not going to see mentioned at all in this thread. Hidden Hand gets brought up all the time, but the counterpart AMA wasn't until 2018. I think this was like what it says it a ton. Is it like 2009, 2011, something? Yeah, 2009. So a year after Hidden Hand. But I don't want to ramble too long here. If you want to see more of what I think about the AMA, feel free to just skip to the end of the video and kind of find when I start rambling. I'm probably not going to link the time. I'm gonna pressure people into watching all three hours of this, or however long it ends up being. But yeah, I don't want to be like too Debbie Downer. I'm just gonna say, if you're looking for Elite Insider information, check out the other two AMAs first. If you've already watched those and you want to get more bloodline perspective about whatever, I think this is worth your time. Like, you might leave this being a little bit frustrated, but I still think the answers they share are interesting, and that it gives you information about what's going on, and what they think and how they view the situation. Assuming this isn't like all freaking made up, which I don't think it is. I don't think this is a LARP. Do not think this is a live action role play. But yeah, little weak in the esoteric knowledge department, and they kind of boast themselves up. They're like, oh, I've got the esoteric knowledge, and they kind of drop the ball, in my opinion. But yeah, if you've already watched the other two AMAs, you might find this interesting. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started here. The rules of the game, part 3. Opportunity knocks again. The posts of Illuminator13 on ATS from November 16th, 2009, November 21st, 2009. Compiled by Deckard666. This release, version 1.0, looks like there's a date here, 25.11.09. There have been 2 releases of information so far. The so-called insider posts on godlikeproductions.com forum from September 24th, 2005, September 28th, 2005, which have been compiled by someone I don't know, and have been released as Revelations of an Elite Family Member, linked to the original thread. I'm a member of an elite family who you despise. Ask me a question. The Hidden Hand posts on the above top secret forum from October 19th, 2008 to October 25th, 2008, which have been compiled by Wes Penner and have been released as Dialogue with Hidden Hand, Self-Proclaimed Illuminati Insider. Link to the original thread, Window of Opportunity. Here is the 3 release of information by a so-called insider. His name is Illuminator13, and like Hidden Hand before him, he used ATS as a communication platform. I cut out all questions by users that were not answered, and all BS comments. So this ebook is the short version of the thread, which contains only the useful stuff. If you need the annoying babble, you can read the entire thread. Link to the original thread, Opportunity knocks again. I left out all usernames and arranged the questions and answers as I saw fit for better reading. I did not change any spelling, added something, or left something out what he said. If I made an error, please contact me and I will correct it. You know where to find me. So, let us begin. November 16th, 2009. The first post of Illuminator13, Opportunity knocks again. I am one with access to the knowledge of the bloodlines who you believe are evil, and whose actions you disapprove of. I have chosen to come here to answer the questions you may have. All you have to do is follow the rules and ask. The rules. Number 1. I am under no obligation to answer every question asked, and in some instances I could not even if I wanted to. Number 2. Think before you ask your question. I will only be here for a very brief period of time, so I suggest you ask only important questions. Use your intelligence, intuitiveness, courtesy, and creativeness when asking a question. Use your mind and heart to break free from that box that you have been placed in. 3. Ask specific questions. I am bound by a few laws that I would rather not break by accident, so if I feel your question is very general, it may be ignored. Number 4. Respect me and my decisions, as I will be awarding you the same respect. Please do not post crass, pointless, futile, insensible, or disrespectful questions and/or comments. Adhere to these 4 simple rules, and this may prove to be an insightful and enlightening experience. Disregard them, and I may choose to disappear. Now, with those preliminary rules in mind, feel free to post your questions. Question 1. Well, here's mine. What do you expect to achieve with your post here? I hope to clear up some misinterpretations and misunderstandings. A lot of nonsense floating around these days. It's counterproductive to why you are here. Question 2. Okay, I will play along, just for show, whether you are or not. 1. What books do you think we should read to understand the spiritual side of the so-called elite? 2. Why do you feel you have to come here at all? To justify, or whatever reason, the elite at all? None. It is not your goal to understand anything outside of who you are and why you are here. 2. I have not come here to justify anything. That is because everything is as it is for a reason, whether or not you believe it to be so. Question 3. Does anyone you know have telekinesis? What is your current belief on the structure of the universe? What is your belief for the origin of life in the universe and this planet? 1. No. Telekinesis is possible though, but most likely you will not ever know anyone who can do it. 2 and 3. What I believe does not matter. Question 4. I see you breeze through your 20 posts, which are all one-liners of no value. Your one-line post breaks the rules here, and also show that you really have nothing to contribute to this board, but nonsense. I think the mod should toss you. Those 20 posts were just a formality for me to post this thread. This is my first time on this website, and I had no idea I would be required to post 20 messages. My lengthy responses will come on this thread. I do have the luxury of time to post 20 in-depth responses to other topics, plus most of the things on the site are nonsense anyway, although I did see a few with some merit. 2. Well, if you think that, then I am glad you are not a moderator. Question 5. We should phrase that as, to the OP, why should we take you seriously? Can you explain to me how the Rothschild claim a direct bloodline? Whether or not you take me seriously is really none of my concern. Ignore this thread if you wish. I could care less. I will answer the questions of those who ask and will not solicit anything. When my time is up, I will leave regardless of how many questions I have answered. I have never heard of such a thing, but if it is true, it does not override the reality of the situation. The Rothschilds are not bloodline. Question 6. Okay, since you brought up bloodlines, what could you tell us about them, and why do they think they are so special? This feels a lot like talking to the clever bot, doesn't it? I can tell you that the bloodlines are here to help you, and special is not the correct word. Duty is. Question 7. Ask specific questions. I am bound by few laws. I'd rather not break by accident, so if I feel your question is very general, it may be ignored. If that's the case, I'm almost positive you're breaking a major one by even posting this. Color me skeptical. I broke nothing. I simply made a request. Whether or not you choose to adhere to it is your choice alone. Question 8. You say that most of these subjects here are nonsense. Which subjects hold merit? All the ones that pertain to alien invasion, 2012 apocalypse, swine flu, and the like. Most others are completely irrelevant to your lives personally. Question 9. I got a question. Are you as fake as the other 1,000 posts, just like this one here, where someone comes and explains they are from the secret societies at hand, or the Illuminati? My second question is, would you roll your eyes at what you wrote thus far if you were not who you claim to be? I never claimed to be from the Illuminati, which has less power than you think. Question 10. Okay, this is important. What if we don't want your help? Are we going to be forced to accept this help? I won't force anything. Forcing would be me just posting unsolicited answers or answering questions that were not asked. If you do not ask, I do not answer. Question 11. I could care less. The actual phrase is, I couldn't care less, meaning you care absolutely the lowest factor of caring possible. I mean, I could point to more of your first grade type flaws in your communication attempts, but I am far more interested in seeing you prove yourself to be what you say you are than I am to continue nitpicking on your misuse of English. Before you point towards my grammatical errors, just remember I am not the guy saying, I am of the sacred bloodlines that control the world. Man, you are way too easy to debunk. Try harder. I demand a better Illuminati than this. My spelling has little to do with anything. The human mind can decipher what I mean to say, even if I only type the first and last letters correctly. I'm trying to answer as many questions as possible. As for your debunking me, think as you wish. If you do not like this topic and have no questions to ask, simply go elsewhere. There's no reason for you being hostile towards me, because I am not hostile towards you. Question 12. So how accurate is the law of one? And you are saying our purpose is to learn our self-purpose, and everything else is a distraction? Does every person play an equal role in this world, or is one person purpose more important than the other? Is the method of finding answers to look inside yourself for answers? If each of us does have specific things we are supposed to learn or be concerned with, would you consider modern technological society as a big distraction that is leading us to failure? Because of the meme spread, for example? Was Edgar Casey a charlatan? Did his heavy Catholicism muddle up his message? I'll see how these are answered before I ask some real questions. Thanks, Jay. Haha, read your two most recent posts. Never mind, phony baloney. Poor try. Hidden Hand did it the most convincing by far. Got to love grad school writing, eh? I would not read the Law of One or any other spiritual writings if I were you, no matter what was recommended to you. In the earlier part of his dialogue, Hidden Hand made grave errors in what he told you. He talked too much. Question 13. Do you believe that you were reincarnated and that you lived on this planet before? Why do you think you are part of a family that has a duty to run society? Why does your family think they were given this duty? 1. No, and I am a rarity. 2. You are asking the wrong questions. Question 14. First contradiction, everyone. Don't bother asking unless you just want to toy with him more. Link to his post. Aliens are not a threat to you. Besides that, your government are the ones who do most of the abductions. What he said. No threat to us, but we must pay attention to the alien invasion threads. Basic inconsistency. No need to look any further, people. Move along. What part of the 20 post formality did you not understand? This was a post to which I thought I could tell you otherwise. No alien invasion is going to happen. Why? Because aliens are not a threat to you, nor do they wish to invade you. Contradiction? Nope. Like I stated before, do not pay attention to alien invasion threads. They are not true and are not useful to you in any way, shape, or form. Question 15. So what are the bloodlines planning on doing to help us? If they're here to help us, why not just come out and tell us? They have no reason to hide if they're going to help us. Only reason to hide if the plan on killing us. Did the bloodline write the Bible? Why do you only have a short time here? Thanks for asking the questions. 1. All you have to do is take an honest look around and see what you are not. 2. It doesn't work that way. Third statement. Post hoc logical fallacy. 4. The Bible you have now is altered. Question 16. Also, I would ask, do you believe in a higher power? And if so, who or what is that higher power? What I believe in does not matter. Question 17. So, it is your duty. Does that mean you/their bloodline is of an alien/not of this world type? If it is your duty, what is the entire realm of such duties? Okay, here is a good example of a misunderstanding. My duty is not the same as the bloodlines, although we work towards the same end goal. They work on the negative side of things, and I work on the positive side of things. I have to tread carefully because I might say too much. Question 18. Wait. So all posts that pertain, you incredibly bad speller you, to alien invasions, 2012 end of the world, swine flu, and the like what? Man, you suck at this. Are all real? Ha 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 ha. Dude, graduate from high school if you can, and then return to try and spam/scam us. Okay? Because the drivel you are spewing here makes you look really, and I mean really, dumb. I am not saying you are dumb, just saying you look uneducated in more areas than just spelling. Good to know that the sacred bloodlines of old have trusted knowledge to you. They must have had a pick from the bottom of the bucket day down at the old Illuminati clubhouse. Man, oh man. See you in Skunkworks, you horribly played hoaxer. Not only can I see the negativity in your words, I can feel it also. Such malicious and venom. What cause are you fighting for? I am not a hoaxer. Question 19. What bloodline are you referring to? The ones you never hear about. The true bloodlines. Question 20. I didn't mean you specifically forcing your help on us. I mean the help that you said the bloodline feels it is their duty to carry out. The question was, will that help be forced on us? Because frankly, I don't need your help or want it. I don't like anyone other than God deciding what is in my best interest. Thanks anyway. That is not your decision. Question 21. Do you have any knowledge on the explicit use of hypnosis to manipulate people? Keep in mind this is a yes or no question. I will ask this question again. I'm sorry, I must have missed it. To answer your question, no. Hypnosis as a tool of manipulation is not something I could recommend anyone looking into. Does it work? Yes. Is it counterproductive to why you are here? Yes. Is it really worth doing? No. Question 22. In the earlier parts of his dialogue, Kid in Hand made grave errors in what he told you. He talked too much. Oh, I get it. More of this Hidden Hand guy. Wow. Thanks for showing me what this is all really about. Welcome back. Enjoy playing with your computer, but don't stay up too late. You have a big day in class tomorrow, and we wouldn't want you forgetting your lunchbox. I am not Hidden Hand. I would never even dream of making the mistakes that he did. Question 23. The problem we have is we do not know how far we can go into this stuff without you stopping answering. Whoever you're very cryptic, and that can mean plenty of things to all of us here. You mentioned the word duty. Can you define what you mean by that without breaking any rules? I think that's the only thing you have said so far. It is your duty. Just simply, what does duty mean to you and whoever you're part of? I understand what you mean. You have a right to be suspicious, but I am not the enemy. I am actually here to help you. I had no idea that I would track such negative and insulting comments by even coming here, but I will persevere through it. By duty, I mean it is a task bestowed by the Supreme One. My duty is different from theirs. I do not control or even attempt to manipulate anybody. It's not why I am here. I am here to help you realize why you are here. Question 24. Okay, so you didn't give me an answer. I know you're trying to keep up. It is getting a little heated here. Many think you're not the real deal. Let's prove them wrong. Can you give us any details that we don't already know about the whole 2012 scenario? Okay, here's a piece of golden advice. Do not concern yourself with 2012. As of now, it is irrelevant and unimportant. You have better things to be doing, so I suggest you figure out what they are. Question 25. Come on, people. Let's not get involved in all this. It ends up making people look gullible and stupid, and exercise in futility. Is wanting answers gullible and stupid? The only futile thing on this thread is the negative comments, which are unnecessary, not to mention just plain rude. Question 26. Dude, you just said that these topics hold merit. Walking contradiction in the same thread a page before. All the ones that pertain to alien invasion, 2012 apocalypse, swine flu, and the like. Most others are completely irrelevant to your lives personally. Do you know what merit means? Did you use it wrong? Did your bloodlines run to your head or something? I did not come here to argue. If you really think I am a walking contradiction, leave. Nobody is making you reply to this thread. Question 27. I'm thinking that my response would lead you to say something like, well, fine. I won't help you by answering your questions then. Would I be correct? If you don't want my help, fine. I won't give it. But the bloodline's help is here regardless of whether or not you want it. Contradiction? No. Question 28. Tread lightly, friend, but give us a little more detail. How can you say you can help if you don't at least put a little meat and potatoes on the table? Thank you, the encouragement. Believe me, I am trying, but the only questions I am getting are questions about my answers. If you people would ask some real questions, then I could answer. Right now, I am getting none of that. If you have a question you want me to answer, feel free to ask it. Question 29. So true. The only thing so far in this thread is that he/she has a duty, and that's all they said, lol. Anyone can be cryptic in answering questions, though contradicting themselves is not something I would take seriously, as we all have to put our words into English, and often we all contradict ourselves. But this thread is useless if you're not going to say anything. Am I giving the wrong answers, or are you people asking the wrong questions? Question 30. What bloodline are you referring to? The ones you never hear about, the true bloodlines. Every one of us have a bloodline. How less true is my bloodline to the one you are purposely being so vague about? Okay, when I say true bloodline, I'm talking about the ones who rule this world. They are not who or what you've been told they are. Question 31. Based on some of what you've said, I would believe that you claim to know why we are here. If so, why are we here, in your opinion? If I told you that, not only would I be breaking a law, but I would achieve the complete opposite of what I hope to. If I could tell you that, I would tell everyone, every chance I had, but this world doesn't work like that. Final post of November 16th, 2009. My time is up for today, but I will be back tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll finally get started on the honest questions. So if those of you who wish to be negative could restrain yourselves from posting, it would be very appreciated. Goodbye. November 17th, 2009. Question 32. Okay, so you didn't give me an answer. I know you're trying to keep up. It is getting a little heated here. Many think you are not the real deal. Let's prove them wrong. Can you give us any details that we don't already know about the whole 2012 scenario? Why are you worried about 2012? Not only is it irrelevant to anything in your life as of this moment, there is no need to concern yourself with it at all. Question 33. What bloodline are you referring to? The ones you never hear about, the true bloodlines. Okay, maybe I can fill you in on ATS a bit and explain the hostility you're receiving. About once a month, there will be a thread from someone who claims to be in contact with aliens, from the future, or from the bloodlines. They come on asking members to ask questions, and they promise to give answers, normally with some rules applied. Then we get a thread running for about 20 pages, with no coherent answer to any of the questions asked, very similar to the thread you have just begun. So you may be spending your afternoon doing this after maybe reading a book on bloodlines. Come on here and see how many gullible people you can dupe. You will realize we are not all saps on this website, so unless you provide some hardcore facts about yourself, your family, and anything slightly interesting, do one. Yes, I looked through this website a bit and I did see what you're referring to, so now I partly understand why some of the members here are so hostile. They've never read any books on the bloodlines because none exist. I do not think any of you are saps, and I am not asking to be believed. I am only here to answer questions. People say that I am being vague, and I am being vague, but there is a good reason for that. Question 34. Would you mind telling us what mistakes Hidden Hand made? And was he truthful in his replies? And please checks your U2U. Finally, somebody who read my answers and asked a good question. Okay, Hidden Hand was who he said he was. There should be no mistake about it. Now, I have read his discourse with this site, and it was very honest and a pretty good piece of work. But, to my surprise, I noticed that he told you, people, way more than he was supposed to. I was not the only one to notice. In fact, here is a quote from him. Let's put it this way. I have already been, shall we say, chastised for going well beyond my remit here. It was not intended that I be as open as I have been. In fact, if you follow the topic through again from the beginning, you may notice how my tone toward you collectively has softened somewhat during our discourse together. I have, as far as possible, adhered fully to the laws of free will and confusion, although there have been instances where I have said more than I should have. You yourselves will not suffer for this, however, when it comes to my next cycle in fourth density negative and working off my karmic record, I will have to accept the consequences for my actions. But hey, I figure I've got a negative enough life to come as it is, so what's a little extra going to matter? The one who were overseeing the discourse between him and the site read what he wrote and automatically knew that he had broken the law of free will. How did he break it? Well, he went into too much detail when answering the questions. Not only that, but he answered questions that nobody even asked, and that is not a wise thing to do. There are consequences for breaking the laws, and they are pretty harsh if you ask me. Now, people on the site accuse me of being vague and cryptic, but they do not know what I know. There are things that I cannot tell you without harming myself, and that is something I am looking to avoid. The reason why I continue to tread lightly is because you really can't be too sure that you've broken a law until after it happens. Then it hits you like a ton of bricks, although you can proceed with caution and will most likely avoid breaking anything. The people in this world break these laws all the time, but they do it unconsciously, yet they still pay for their mistake. Now, if I were to consciously, knowingly, break these laws, then I would be in for a lot of trouble. What are these laws? You'll have to figure them out for yourself. Question 35. I have a suggestion for you. Instead of answering all the negative, give your attention to the positives. So far, you have brought nothing to the table. You ask for questions, promising answers. I think you're falling short in the answer department. Please, if you're the real deal, get to it and stop wasting your/our time. Oh yeah, one more question. What blood type is the bloodline you speak of? I figured that out yesterday, and that is what I am going to do. As for the promising answers part, you people are asking the wrong types of questions. Now, today I'm going to stretch the boundaries a little bit, but I will not knowingly do anything that I know will be detrimental to why I am here, no matter how any of you may feel about it. As for your questions, it shows a good example of this. Relevance. That's what most of the topics/questions on the site are. Irrelevant. A lot of the things on the site do one thing. They get you all wrapped up and distracted from the things that you should be focused on. Is that a vague or cryptic? My answers so far have value. All you have to do is read between the lines. Question 36. Seems to me you have read enough here to use a title from a very popular thread, Window of Opportunity, by the poster Hidden Hands. He had lots of very good and relevant information. I feel you are just attempting to copycat this very successful thread. I am not reading from you the same level of knowingness. If I am wrong, I apologize, but I trust my instinct. You are correct about one thing. He did give you guys some pretty good answers, but he also had a lot of irrelevant things. It's funny, because the irrelevant parts of his dialogue seem to draw the most attention and focus. Also, his thread was the reason that the site was the last place I wanted to come to say what needs to be said. The idea is to help new people, instead of those who have been helped. Metaphorically speaking, if you were donating 100 Christmas gifts to needy families, would you drop off all the toys at one house? No, you would go to different ones. Question 37. Hello, Illuminator13. I would love to hear your answers to the following questions. 1. Who are we? 2. Why are we here? Very good questions. I love the way you formatted it. You didn't ask for the answers to these questions. You asked for my answers to these questions. The answers are relatively simple. Here they are. 1. A developing soul. 2. To show others what they are. Want me to elaborate? Formulate the question so I can answer. Question 38. I want to play. I think I get your doings, OP. Here are my questions. Is a catalyst still being needed in a general sense? If so, how much more and for how long you would guess that the push needs to keep going? Do you have to lie to keep your integrity? 1. Yes, a catalyst will always be needed as long as there are souls who need to be developed. There is no other way around it. 2. As long as it takes. There is no set time standard. 3. I am not in the habit of lying, and I have not lied to anyone on this website. Question 39. Yes, but do you understand, and I mean this in all seriousness, do you understand how you are coming off to us? An egotistical madman sitting behind a computer with nothing better to do than draw attention to yourself. How are we to take that seriously? Yes, I do understand where you people are coming from. I'm not an attention seeker. In fact, I live a pretty solitary life. Attention from others is probably one of the last priorities that I have. Question 40. Is Earth such a hard ride sometimes to show us what we are not? And if so, being that we are wonderful supreme beings ourselves, why do we have to learn this again and again? More one than anyone, you are an interesting one. Different from a lot of the people who I have conversated with thus far. Your questions are the type of questions that I am looking for. You must understand that the ride is only as hard as you make it. Yes, it may in fact be difficult sometimes, but that is what perseverance is all about. There are two worlds on this planet. One is the inner world, perception, and the other is the outer world, reality. You have, for the most part, complete dominance in inner world. This meaning you can control, more or less, everything that happens there. In the other, outer world, you may think have less control, but in reality, kind of ironic, you really do have more to say in it than you think. Question 41. My time is up for today, but I'll be back tomorrow. Goodbye. I think he never hid behind a proxy, lol. Plus my IP address question got him going, lol. Would you come onto a board with your real IP? Can mods find out his real IP address, and would he want them to know it, lol? Troll or genuine, we will never know, lol. I do not need to hide behind proxies. In fact, I only use two, and both are at public venues. I have been to both, one yesterday and one today. These are the only two I will be using. The moderators will know for sure. Question 42. Okay, when I say true bloodline, I am talking about the ones who rule this world. They are not who or what you've been told they are. What I've been told is that all people are born naturally free and sovereign unto themselves, and any notion of divine right of kings is a false doctrine intended to subvert freedom. By believing in natural rights and inherent political power belonging to all people, am I in direct conflict with the so-called true bloodline? No. Believe what you will, it won't the fact of the matter. Question 43. Surely you have to expect some negativity. You're making some pretty outlandish claims and have proved little in the way of evidence. Interesting. What outlandish claims have I made? You are the ones assuming everything, and that's not my problem. Question 44. I've chosen to come here to answer the questions you may have. Who dug the Oak Island pit? Why, and does it now contain anything? What did the Templars use to blackmail the church, and where is it now? Why are you any different to any other loony that makes exactly the same claim and cop-out as you? More irrelevant questions. Tell me, of what practical use is anything that you just asked? How does it pertain to your life in general? 3. For one, I am far from a loony, and most loonies you see are disinfo agents, although some are loony. I have no reason to do any of this if I did not genuinely want to help you. Take what you want from my statements and throw away the rest, because the only real lasting truth is one that comes from within. Question 45. Okay. I thought my questions were legitimate. Looks like I was incorrect. Or maybe you missed them? Perhaps those questions would be of more use if answered. What is your interpretation of 666? If you posted these, I missed them. Sorry. Some of your questions are irrelevant, but I'll answer them anyway. What does the hexagon mean to you? The hexagon is a very sacred symbol, and also symbol of Saturn. In fact, the symbol is actually embedded onto Saturn. It's where the elders resign. If you actually pay attention and observe various religious structures / paintings, you will find that the hexagon is present in all major religions. It is not a coincidence. What are dreams? 3. Dreams. First and foremost, it is a place where your soul takes a rest from this realm. Also, it can be manifestation of something that you want in this world, something you dread, or a time of fun where physical laws do not apply, lucid dreaming. How do we rise our consciousness? 4. By finding the answers to these 3 questions. Who are you? Where are you at? Why are you here? Then living according to the answers of each. It is imperative that you actually live according to these answers. Do not just figure them out and then ignore them. Is 2012 a significant year? Specifically on the 21st of December? 5. Do not concern yourself with 2012. What are the subjects that Hidden Hand spoke falsely about? Do you agree with most of what Hidden Hand said? 6. Yes, but again, he talked too much. Why would there be another opportunity now? Did not Hidden Hand discuss everything that we need? 7. More or less. I am not here to discuss Hidden Hand. Much look to my earlier answer for the answer to this question. Could you give us more detail on your purpose? 8. I am here to point out what's really important. There are many distractions and red herrings. Question 46. Cool. I love these Ask Me Anything threads. Can we just go on happily raising our families, living our lives, and not be concerned with everyone, trying to take everything in our own little worlds? I don't think I am here for any other purpose than to give me to everyone I know. Be a son, brother, daddy, husband, eventually grandpa. Haha. I am here and to contribute positively to society, enforcing rules and laws to maintain some semblance of order, help people when I can. If there is some form of grand plan, my question is, can people just go on living and loving without fear of being violated inhumanely? Haha. Or are we doomed from something else other than ourselves? 1. Do not get attached to material possessions. 2. More or less, that is why you are here. Dig deeper though, you'll figure it out. 3. Fear is counterproductive. Besides, there is no reason to fear, because nothing can truly harm what you are. Physical reality is not all that there is. There are those who can illuminate the body, but the soul is eternal. Final post of November 17th. Okay, this was a very productive session. I have to go now. I'll be back tomorrow though. You all have a nice day and a good night. November 18th, 2009. Question 47. Listen, this is real simple. You've come to the site claiming to be some bloodline and whatnot. Answer this and I promise I will listen with the most open of minds. How can we be sure you are who you say and not some hack or hoax? Believe it or not, that is very important to a lot of us here. You can't just say these things and expect us to take you seriously, and if you do indeed have important answers, well, this is the only well to help your cause and ours. You want to spread your important messages, then throw us a bone here. Otherwise, you're nothing more than a hoaxer, and your message will fall to a majority of deaf ears. Also, if you are such a bloodline and have such important news you've already gone behind your people's back by posting to us, why not come out into the open? Sorry, but as of now, I think you are hoaxing. Interesting question. But what in this world can you really be sure of? If you are not aware, most of the stuff you have been taught by others throughout your whole lives is incorrect. I have not went behind anyone's back. I swore no oaths. Question 48. By duty, I mean it is a task bestowed by the Supreme One. So we finally get a little more from you. You know we are going to ask you, who is the Supreme One you are talking of? 1. So, in your opinion, who is the Supreme One? Is this what we call God? That depends. Are you worshipping dead humans? And worship, in itself, is an unnecessary thing to do. Being honestly grateful is good enough. 2. Do you understand your mission or duty by going through rituals or through what we call path to enlightenment? It is possible to learn through those methods, but not necessary. You know everything you need to know about why you came here. All you have to do is look within. 3. Do you mind if a board mod takes your IP address and tries to see what area of the world you are in? I know this may be too personal, but the board mods could do this. On the things about board negatives, it's just that we get loads of these threads. You're not helping yourself or us by being so cryptic. A lot of us speak frankly, as anonymity on the net lets us. We will never know if any true insider comes here, but we can just see where this thread goes. Do as you wish, it doesn't matter to me. The places where I am using a computer, like I stated before, are both public venues in a well-populated city. If you seek to find me though, you only have 3 days left. Question 49. No one can give you truth but yourself. Not exactly. You can be told the truth by others, but it won't help you none. In fact, it might actually hurt you. It's your job to find it on your own. Question 50. What are the best ways to heal both physical and emotional problems? This does sound like Hidden Hand, but then again he was convincing after all was said and done. Is what he said true, so we know not to ask the same questions? What can we do on a day-to-day basis to help achieve what we are here to do? 1. Okay, physical ailments have more to do with the objective world than anything else. There is little you can do when something severe happens to your body, no matter how much you may believe. Example, amputees. Most of these instances are designed to test the person whom it happens to. How will you react? Go into a pit of despair and become resentful, or continue on being content and accept what has happened? Relatively smaller problems are not designed to test you at all and have solutions that can be solved by an objective source. And by objective, I mean something that you would perceive to be apart from your inner self. Example, you trip, fall, and break an arm. What do? Wrap it in a cast and allow it to heal itself. 2. As for emotional problems, if you take note, most are caused by your choosing to react to a certain situation a certain way. Think about it. Who is in control of you? Who makes the decisions in your life? 3. The core of what he said was true, and that really is all you should be concerned with. 4. Find out what you are, where you are, and why you came here. Then live according to the answers you find out. Question 51. Dear Illuminator13, thank you for offering help. Here are my questions. 1. Our origins. Are reptilians, Dracos, and Anunnaki our brothers and sisters? We are all one. 2. Going with reincarnation, we each have a set of lessons to learn each on this planet. True or false? True in a certain manner. You all have to go through these same lessons in each lifetime, even if you already mastered them. Okay, I'll use this example. You're in a store, nobody's around you, and you really want the item you are looking at. Only you don't have any money left. test. Will you steal to get what you want? Most people won't, but some will. Why? Because their soul has not passed the lesson of theft and stealing. The ones who have passed are still tested with it, but they pass easily. In fact, they don't even feel the temptation that the person who hasn't passed feels. Now, it is possible for a soul to learn all of the lessons on their first attempt. Doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. 3. Why is law of one not right when it answers so many questions? When I tell you not to read any text regarding spirituality, that is not to say that there aren't any that will tell you what you need to know. Now, for most people who read texts like the Law of One, their soul will get the feeling that it is true, but it will be nowhere near the feeling that they would have if they were to figure out the core of the matter by themselves. Besides that, you are less likely to believe, let alone truly follow, what you do not figure out for yourself. Although there are exceptions to this, there aren't many. 4. Is graduation from this world involves synchronization of a set of frequencies? What is the best way to achieve this? Do not be concerned with graduating from this world. It is a selfish concept in itself. Are you doing what you do because you want to, or because you feel you have to? 5. Is there a guardian races always watching over us? Yes. 6. Are we in a veil of forgetfulness? What is its purpose? Yes, and its purpose is to help you. 7. Are you part of an Earth bloodline, like Jewish/Aryan, etc.? It does not matter. 8. If this is your only reincarnation, you must be a walk-in, right? Correct. 9. If it is not 2012, is there a window between 2012, 2013, summer solstice, or 2012, 2017? Do not focus on things of that nature. It's not why you are here. 10. What are our options when it is time? Stay with Earth? Move to higher dimension/density? Thank you in advance. You have little choice in the matter. Once you get higher up, then you'll be able to decide what you wish to do. Question 52. What is the effect of emotion on reality? Is reality simply a reflection of consciousness? What is consciousness? Is illness created from within? 1. Emotions are here to, I'll say, enhance the quality of your time here. They are tools and it's up to you to use them properly. 2. Individual or universal? 3. Some are, some aren't. Has to do with the objective world and subjective world I described earlier. Question 53. Alright, I'm gonna play. Illuminator. First, a personal question. Why did you choose the screen name you did? I know, it should be obvious, given the definition, but I've practiced quite a bit of magic. The reason people here thought you were referring to Illuminati bloodlines was, in fact, because your selected name implies that notion, much in the same way you ascertained that spelling was inconsequential because man was intelligent enough to know what you meant. Words and numbers have magic that relies heavily on just that notion. Thus, if you are from the bloodlines, I assume you have some reason for the name you selected. Second, what kind of things could you point out in history that non-specific bloodlines have done that would, in your family eyes, be deemed as evil? Evil is generally a very subjective word. What is the definition, from your perspective, of what is deemed evil and good ways? I mean, someone out there views mass genocide of the Earth's population as a necessary evil, while another may look at it as just evil, and yet another may see it as a good thing. Hopefully, I made my questions clear enough. It's hard to convey a complete thought from mind to word. Seems somebody dwells into the occult. There is a reason why I selected the name I did. It has significance, and the number 2, what do you know about the number 13? When I say evil, I am referring to what other people call it: hatred, war, poverty, lies, racism, etc. These are generally regarded, in the opinion of the general public, as evil. And I, and others like me, don't think any of it is evil, just tools. Question 54. Please don't bother replying to people that are questioning the validity of this. I think we can all decide for ourselves what's true and what's not. 1. If we are to be inspired to find our purpose, what methods and direction should we be looking in? Method: contemplation. Direction: from inside your being. 2. All of this alludes to God, or whatever is considered to be in charge of the game, appointing various individuals into place either via duty, birth, or otherwise to fulfill their roles in said game. How do these individuals take/understand what is their appropriate roles/duties? Does whomever is in charge of this game speak orders? For some, it is passed down from generation to generation. For others, it is made clear in a few subtle ways. Yes, but not in the way you think. 3. Within your hierarchy, it's been alluded to that again, the Supreme Being has commanded specific rules that must be followed. Why are there rules, and why would knowledge have to be withheld from anyone? The rules can be known by all who wish to, but only after a period of enlightenment. People know the rules subconsciously, they just choose to disobey them. Question 55. A. When you say bloodlines, you mean the one that was proven that all US presidents except for one are all related to the same British king? Or are you talking about ET bloodlines? The ones you never hear about. B. What is the nature of evil? Who does it serve, and what is its ultimate purpose? Is it the lessons? Evil does not exist in the big picture. Its purpose is to show you what you are not. C. If you are identifying yourself as a benevolent, good, positive being, do you realize that we must have evil, and without evil, we will never learn any lessons in life? Yes. D. What will you gain for the information that you are sharing? Well, besides finishing one of my tasks, I will gain the peace of mind knowing that I did all I could to benefit the souls who are ready to receive what I was attempting to give them. E. Can we as individuals bypass the evil bloodline and what they are imposing on the planet To a certain extent, yes. You know most of all the negative things that are being done. Why do you actively participate in them? Example, you are aware of how fraudulent the banking systems are. Why do people continue to support them by having a bank account? F. Can we change the destiny of what the evil has planned for us? Good and evil work towards the same goal, just on the opposite ends of the spectrum. So the answer is no. G. Does bloodline relate to DNA activation? If so, do they have some special powers that we don't? No special powers are awarded for having a certain type of blood. Question 56. Are we better off remaining calm until said events? Preparations are needed. To what respect, however? 1. Yes. 2. If you want to do anything, moving nearer to the equator, think South America, would be a good option. But really, what does it matter anyway? Do you think you are going to live forever? This is not your home. Question 57. I am not going to buy into this 100% yet. I do agree that the OP is keeping his answers very vague. However, let's play for a second that this may very well be the real deal. Someone who has the know and the ability to answer our questions. So here goes, OP. Here are my questions. When will our governments, maybe the US to be specific, disclose information that our planet has been visited by ET? Just to clarify, I am looking for a date, but in the end I will only get what you are willing to give. I am not asking you to buy anything. Take what you want from what I am saying, discard the rest. But isn't that what you are going to do anyway? 1. Most likely never. Not only would it be counterproductive, but believe it or not, the general population is not ready to come to terms with that knowledge. Are we, the human race and its governments, headed for another world war the next, say, 10 years? That is all I have at the moment. Hopefully this is what you have stated in previous posts as the right question. Thank you for your time. 2. Nothing is written in stone, but I am reasonably positive that no world wars will be happening anytime soon. Question 58. Dear Illuminator, albeit while others are not so keen about a repeat hidden hand post, I see this does serve me an opportunity to ask some questions which I never got to ask your associate. First of all, are you part of the same embodiment group that stems from the ancient Lucifer group, or Quetzalcoatl? Alternatively, would it be possible you could provide more information on said group? No, I am not neither of those group souls, nor Yahweh. As for the more information part, of what practical use is it to you? Second, is the rumored coming disclosure this month actually going to occur? I see this as a valid question because if anything, if you are who you say you are, no doubt you will have the same access to information as your associate. No. Third, why is the coming harvest necessary and what purpose does it serve to the reptilians? Plus, it was previously stated by HH that the harvest will propel humankind into the fourth dimension. If that is the case, how do you explain the fact that people are believing we're headed to the fifth? It is necessary because those of you who are ready to go to the next level need to continue your journey. And not all of humankind will be going anywhere. In fact, most of you will be staying in this dimension. As for people believing they are going to the fifth, they are misinformed. Nobody skips a level. Finally, do you have any association with the Galactic Federation of Light, whom are apparently nothing more than advanced biomorphed reptiles? I am not associated with them, nor have I ever been contacted by them. Question 59. Hello, Illuminator. I appreciate you taking the time to answer the less well thought out questions that some of my brothers and sisters ask. I would also like to apologize for the rudeness directed at you by some of the less enlightened. I don't feel that they are entirely to blame for their skepticism, though. As a people, we have been faced with far too many lies to take anything at face value. Now, as for my questions, I will ask no more than 333 in a single post in respect for the power of Trinity. 1. Will your bloodline attempt to lead my people into an unnecessary war with fatal weapons instead of just a lyrical combat? 2. Can you suggest a method to better balance the 7 sins with the 7 virtues spoken of in the New Testament? Consciously choose to do the latter. 3. Does the faith of many detract from the faith of few? Thank you in advance for answering my questions and any others you are capable of answering without undue risk. I must say, this game, although sometimes dangerous for those involved, is truly fun to play. That is the way it is designed, to test one's faith in oneself. Are you going to follow the leader, or are you going to be the leader? Question 60. Hidden Hand was genuine. I intuitively knew this. If you are who you say you are, then I sincerely thank you for the opportunity granted once more. Some highly relevant questions regarding this end cycle. What are you willing to reveal about the role of chemtrails? I'll put it this way, they are not killing you, and they do less damage than you think. Will the militaries of the nations attempt to close borders/highways prior to Nibiru's passage? It is possible, but most likely won't happen. Should we prepare for mass power outages/disturbances between 2010 to 2012 as a result of solar activity? Prepare, yes. Worry, no. Will the false flag alien invasion be after the pole shift event to help usher in the New World Order agenda? Don't worry about that. Do you agree the Mayan end cycle calendar really ends in 2011, not 2012? No, and I would be more concerned about the things that are important. I understand these are confronting questions, and I hope you're within your bounds to disclose openly and honestly. I realize these events will prove highly relevant in the near future. Please ignore the negativity. It is to be expected, unfortunately. I am sure you are evolved enough to not take it personally. Thanks in advance. Question 61. Okay. I'm wondering about bipolar disorder. Would you say that generally bipolar people are more creative than others? If so, why is that? There are a lot of people who are misdiagnosed with that disease. And why are the ones who truly have it more creative? The same reason that when a person loses his sight, his hearing becomes more keen. You lose something, but it is compensated for in another way. Bipolar disorder is thought of as being hereditary. Is this correct? What is the real cause? Is there a spiritual link? I've read somewhere that it might be something wrong spiritually. A fractured crown chakra or something like that. Okay. The best way I can put it, so that you might be able to understand it, is this. A glitch in the game. Same thing for people born with Down syndrome. Medicine for bipolar disorder. Is anything Big Pharma pushes good or helpful for bipolar disorder? Or is it, as I suspect, real bad for you? Almost all of it is bad in the general sense, but everyone is different. If you become more stable and experience little to no side effects, then whatever you took is right for you. If not, get a new medication. What about alternative treatments? Is there something you could recommend? Is it maybe just a nutritional problem? I've been wondering this for a while too. Is cannabis good for you as long as you don't overconsume? Too much of everything is bad? Do cannabis have any spiritual connection? Or is it just an ordinary plant which happens to get you high? No alternative treatments that I would recommend, sorry. I do not use pot and I would not recommend it to anyone. Just an ordinary plant. If I terminate my existence, wouldn't that be fair? Couldn't God give me that opportunity? Couldn't he destroy me forever and ever? Basically, what I'm asking is, am I under a contract that I can't break? Am I trapped in existence? In this miserable, utterly hopeless existence? This hell? No. Learn your lessons and learn them now. Taking your life will solve nothing. Life is sacred. Cherish yours. Can I just say, I'm done playing. I don't want this. I don't want this life. I don't want an afterlife. I don't want to reincarnate. I don't want to move to another density. I don't want to exist in any way, shape, or form. Wouldn't that be my right if I wanted to not exist? Just look at your mindset. Everything is as you see it because you choose to see it that way. Have you ever looked on the bright side of things? Be thankful for where you're at, because there are many and far worse situations than you. It's not what happens to you that is the problem. It's how you choose to react to it. I'm pretty much done with this life already. Been burned out for years. This game is played out, and my conscious self never signed no deal. I want out. I don't see the purpose of the spiritual rat race anyway. No, that's not the way it works. This is not a spiritual rat race. Take as long as you need. Question 62. Okay, creator intervention right here. There are so many little back and forth answers here that I'm not going to use sound effects for this part. So hopefully it's not too confusing if you're not watching the video and you're just listening to the audio or something. 1A. Who are the bloodlines? If you won't give me names, tell me how they control the world. By telling those who are publicly in power what to do. 1B. Are they the rich business tycoons who we hardly know anything about? No. 1C. Do they influence world events and have control of our political leaders? Yes. 2A. By duty, I mean it is a task bestowed by the Supreme One. What is the Supreme One? Is this a human entity? The one who not only created all that you perceive, but is also intertwined in its creation. 2B. If so, does he, she have a profession or title that we humans can relate to? No, it is not a human entity. 3A. Why are we here? I'm aware that you said you cannot tell us because it would break a law. Fine, but can you tell us how we can find out? Look inside yourself. The answer is there. 3B. Is our purpose to work in and support a hierarchical society or infrastructure that only bloodlines can see/understand? Metaphorically, like individual parts of a giant machine or stones in a pyramid? No, nothing like that. You are not slaves, contrary to what religion may tell you. 4A. Why do we need help from the bloodlines? If you didn't have the help, you would never grow. 4B. How are they helping us? Are they helping us by keeping us subservient to them and not asking ourselves important questions like why we are here? By showing you what you are not. 4C. What do they want from us? What do they want us to do? To see what you are. To evolve. 5A. Is the swine flu pandemic/mass vaccination a form of biological warfare or control? Swine flu is pretty much in the same boat as bird flu. You do remember what bird flu was, don't you? Hype. 5B. Is a method of population reduction. There is no plan of population reduction and or control. 6A. Are there such things as extraterrestrials? If you mean beings that are not from this planet, yes. 6B. If so, what is their purpose? Their purposes are different. They vary from species to species. 6C. Are the bloodlines in contact with them? Is any other human organization, for that matter? Yes, to a certain extent, and to my knowledge, no other organization, although it is fully possible. 7A. What is going to happen in October 2011? And 7B. Will there be a pole shift during or beginning in that point in time? Do not worry about the future. 8A. Is something going to happen in the near future that you are on the site preparing us for? Yes. 8B. How much time do we have if that is in fact the case? To answer that would be counterproductive. Do not worry about how much time you may have. That's all I have for now. My next set of questions will depend on your responses to the set. Take as much time you need in answering them, but please do respond to each and every one of them. I apologize if I have offended you in the first part of this post. Question 63. The actual phrase is, I couldn't care less, meaning you care absolutely the lowest factor of caring possible. You have obviously assumed that English is OP's native language. This puts you potentially at a disadvantage in the discussion. A disadvantage that the OP is not taken advantage of. Just an observation. Addressed to the other user. The fact that the OP whipped out 20 posts only supports his claims. If I were here for one purpose, I would do the same, I'm sure. So far, I see no grounds for any antagonistic posts to this threads or its OP. I would remind everyone that this thread is the property of ATS, but its quality has been left in our hands. I'm no mod, but some of you are ridiculous. Illuminator. Number 1, are you done answering questions? Statement. Good observation, Sherlock Holmes. LOL. I am done at the latest on Friday, although it could be sooner. 2. The Vanderbilts. What knowledge have you in terms of their influence on the current world scene? Also, I have heard of their lineage running somehow back to the elites of the Maya and even the Olmecs. Can you speak to this in any way? Curious. They don't carry a lot of influences as far as the big picture goes. No, I can't, but I don't believe all that is said regarding people who can trace lineages. Question 64. Here's a question that shouldn't break any of your laws. The title of your thread is Opportunity Knocks Again. For something to have happened again, it has to have already happened once. When did the first opportunity knock? Is this your second attempt at this type of thread, or are you referring to someone else's work on the subject? Not a knock the first time, but a window. Question 65. If it is true that you have an answer that I myself do not have, then please answer this question, Illuminator. Does the Supreme One acknowledge me? It acknowledges all. Question 66. 1. What is the genetic significance of the bloodline? Why are these genetics significant? For example, perhaps there is a gene that facilitates use of a body by discarnate entities. That might be significant because a person with such a gene could easily act as a host. What is the significance? Genetics have little to do with spirituality, only with ruling over this world. 2. I am toying with the idea that I am sovereign within my own experience, and that others that I perceive within that experience are not really others, but rather are self-created representations of others that might or might not bear any resemblance to the self-perceptions of those others. Well, I wouldn't do that if I were you because it's not true. Also, it borderlines a psychiatric disease called schizophrenia. Although there are two worlds in this place, both are equal in their existence. Those you experience are a part the objective world, and that which you think, believe, or perceive is a part of your inner world. Both of these worlds interlock to create your reality. 2A. How accurate is this perception? How might it be clarified? For example, is the I that I perceive really an interference pattern of the self-perceptions of various consciousnesses? To what extent is experience shared? Is there anyone to share experience with? Please explain how the experience of consciousness relates to the experience of other consciousness. If you polarize it into black and white, not very accurate at all. In this dimension, it doesn't relate a whole lot, but as you go up the ladder, everything becomes one. 2B. What are the implications and consequences of deliberate self-change to my experience? For example, making use of the representations of others. It seems as though there could be no possible badness in deliberate use of a self-created representation by a sovereign consciousness. Using others is really using self. It seems there need to be no imposition upon the free will of those others, as my use of elements of my self-created experience need not interfere with the self-created experience of others. But it's possible various consciousness may be in rapport, and may be experiencing a collective reality, where those others might simply be unaware of their sovereignty, or might not have sufficient awareness of the nature of their experience, and consequently, changes made by me to my experience might affect the experience of others. Please explain how this process functions. I can't, and you won't find anyone that can. It will all make sense as you work your way up the ladder of creation. 2C. Assuming I desire to create an experience, and perhaps make it available to others who may choose to accept it, but not impose it upon them if they do not, how would I do so? It seems you want control. I can't and won't give it to you. 2D. How would one communicate directly with another consciousness rather than their representation? Thank you. You have to reach a certain point in your development and have a very high level of concentration to channel your thoughts. Sound easy? If it was, everyone would be doing it. Question 67. Okay, I'll play. Think before you ask your questions. I'll only be here for a very brief period of time, so I suggest you ask only important questions. Use your intelligence, intuitive courtesy, and creativeness when asking a question. Use your mind and heart to break free from that box you've been placed in. 1. What box might that be? No matrix clashes, please. You are assuming people you do not know are metaphorically imprisoned. That's a big assumption given there are 6 billion individual human beings on the planet Earth with their own unique perception of the world. 2. Who and what is that supreme being? You said to someone, but you asked the wrong questions. I love Interview with a Vampire. But rather than getting us to pander to you and play 200 questions, couldn't you just save us some time and tell us the specific answers we need to know? The answers you have given so far are vague and cryptic, do not fulfill the opportunity you claim to be offering. That box is where your teachings and learnings have brought you thus far. Conditioning. It works just as well on the mind as it does the body. Final post of November 18th. That is the end of my time today. If you could please hold back on the questions so I can catch up, it would be appreciated. Take care. November 19th, 2009. Question 68. You mean you're here to help us in the same way that Hidden Hand said he and his house are? Ultimately, yes. Question 69. Nice. Also, can you tell about magic? In this world of ours, where we are supposedly bound within rules, how does magic exist? What I can tell you is that magic does exist, but that does not mean that you should go meddling with it. You don't personally need it, and it won't help you do what you're here to do. Question 70. Can you please tell me about the significance of dreams? Using dreams, can one get answers to a few questions we are seeking and become clearer of our individual purpose? I already answered your first question in an earlier post, and dreams can make you more clearer of your purpose, but it is unnecessary. You can figure that out while you are awake, and let me make this perfectly clear. You, unconsciously, know why you are here, but you just don't, consciously, for now at least, remember what it is. Question 71. What, in your opinion, is the best meditation technique to better know one's inner mind? Or is there something better than meditation that brings you closer to the source? I meditate a lot and my temples constantly tingle. Can you tell me why? I would say deep breathing and contemplating whatever thoughts you seem to be having trouble with getting a grip on. I wouldn't use mantras if I were you. Question 72. According to you and your perspective, how does the development of our souls in this duality affect you and yours in the development of your soul? They don't. I am here for a slightly different reason than you are. I got through this phase a long time ago, and though I had to relive the basic polarity complex that is this planet, I learned relatively quickly why I was here, and so I am completing my mission. Question 73. Which others do we need to show what/who they are? Other developing souls in a 3D human incarnation? 1. Everyone you come into contact with. 2. Yes. Question 74. What steps need to be taken to further develop our souls on an individual basis? Well, the first thing you need to do is go inside yourself and get the answers to who you are and why you are here. Then the rest should really take care of itself. If you show others what you/they are, both of you will develop. Why? Because you are one. Question 75. If what you need to do is not done by December 2012, will you not have failed? Or are you due be in this third density for an unspecified time? Okay, I don't need to do anything. I am making the choice to do what I do, just as I made the choice to come here. I could just not do my duty and go sail around the world or something to that extent, not coming into contact with any of you, and nothing negative would befall me. But the fact of the matter is that I want to be beneficial to you in any way that I can. Say, if somehow we were actually to cross paths, I would be that person who holds the door open for you as I am leaving the store, gives you that extra money you forgot in your car while getting groceries, or that person who taped the $1 to the vending machine with a note that says, "Save your money and have an awesome day," etc. I am here to help you see what you are. Question 76. About the why are we here, in your opinion, doesn't mean that I am looking to accept those answers. I only ask that question to try to gain insight into his perspective. I believe in God, but I still don't know why we are here. I can accept there are some things we may just not be able to know, and I'm okay with that. Truth is, I'd be very skeptical of anyone claiming to know. That doesn't mean I'm not curious about the answers they would give. I am not asking you to accept my answers. You have the answers inside of you. All you have to do is look. Once you figure out why you are here, it will become very obvious to you, and in reality, it is obvious. When searching for something, it is easy to overlook that which has been right before your eyes the whole time. Question 77. In your opinion, what is meant by higher self? If a part of us resides with the source, then why do we send of a part of our soul to Earth to learn all over again? Because of the challenge and the desire to prove oneself. You are, in all actuality, playing a game with yourself, and eventually you will win. Question 78. How important is vegetarianism? Ah, what a delightful question. It's interesting because I knew, in my heart, this question would be asked. For starters, I am, in fact, a strict vegetarian. That being said, vegetarianism is a relatively important part of the game, but its main function is more so focused in the fourth density, compassion. The question: can you show the same treatment to animals as you do yourselves? First off, despite what you have been told, meat is not a natural substance to be used in fueling your body. Why do you think you consistently deceive your taste buds with your different mix of spices and seasonings? And to continue, what would you intuitively rather eat? A freshly picked fruit or some freshly deceased roadkill? There is a reason why your mind would choose one over the other, and while we are on the subject, cow's milk or eggs are not to be consumed naturally either. Vegetarianism receives a bad rep for a reason, mostly by showing radical PETA members. Besides that, who do you think approved the food guide pyramid? Sure, the stuff you should be eating is nearer to the bottom of the pyramid, but which part of the pyramid do you draw your main course from? If you research properly, you will see that some major important human philosophers, scientists, physicists, and the like did not consume meat. There's a reason for that, most of it being ethical, but do not mistake, it did help them accomplish what they did. But seriously, have you ever even thought to check where your meat comes from, how it is processed, and how those animals are really treated? Some of you would be shocked, but the less developed would adopt a I don't care type of attitude. That said, not being a vegetarian doesn't affect you much spiritually here, but it comes into play in the later levels. Physically and mentally are two different stories. Do your own research, and you'll see what I am talking about. Question 79. Was the Holocaust real in the way it is presented? There are just some discrepancies in the details, but overall, yes. Question 80. You say that you're the good guy here to help, so if you're the good guy, who's the bad guy? There are no good guys or bad guys, just beings playing the role that they are assigned. Question 81. Do you believe that we only reincarnate into the future and not into the past? Can we, in your opinion, reincarnate into past by our understanding of time in our 3D bodies now? Bodies? As far as I am aware of, time travelers into the past do not exist. Question 82. Does your theory of reincarnation need to follow what we perceive to be time as going from past to what we think of our future? In a certain respect, yes. Question 83. What can we do to further the development of our souls? Again, learn who you are, where you are, and why you are here. Question 84. What is your definition of a soul? In my dictionary, soul, an entity who is a part of the Supreme One, but for a time is or has participated in the game of creation, no matter what role it plays. Question 85. In your opinion, will I better achieve my goals with commonly accepted symbols of power or symbols that contain more meaning to myself? Again, there are issues afoot mostly regarding to what I have termed the objective world and the inner world, but I would still definitely the latter. It really does depend on which symbols of power you are referring to. Question 86. Does the majority of the outer world, Terra, have to forgive you, or can you be forgiven by a more dominant being? All must forgive, that is non negotiable. To pardon other is to pardon yourself. Unforgiveness is very selfish, and anyone who neglects to forgive will be here until they learn otherwise. Question 87. From what you understand, can I better balance my knowledge and wisdom through a proper diet, or am I more tuned to my spirit through fasting? Proper eating habits will help you mentally and physically, but not much spiritually. And fasting is only perceived as helping you, mentally and physically, because you have stopped poisoning yourself. Question 88. Is the Bible relevant to this discussion at all? I assume it is as much as you speak of free will. You say it has been altered. Can you point us to the true laws it contains? Like I stated before, it is not in your best interest to look outside of yourself for advice of a spiritual nature. Even if you did find what you are looking for, you are less likely to put it into practice. Knowing is one this, but doing, more accurately, being, is another story. To practice what you preach is hard to do if you weren't the one preaching. Leave the physical outer world and go towards the spiritual inner world. Question 89. Are you implying that those bloodlines are not reptilian? Not only do I mean to imply that, I will state it directly. The bloodline are not reptilian. Ick is going up the wrong tree. Question 90. Can you post a brief explanation of your duties or work? The only reason I am here is to help you see what you are. Question 91. Do you work with world leaders? I work directly with your kind in general on a more personal level. I drop clues to those who I come into contact with and ask me about my demeanor. I can be called a counselor of sorts. You'd know what I mean if we were to cross paths. Question 92. So the hexagon shape on Saturn's pole is not part of its composition? No, it is a part of its composition, but it is designed to be that way. The elders have been there for quite some time. Question 93. Okay, A few more about Saturn. Does its tilt at 27 degrees mean that Saturn is in perfect balance? If Earth is at 23.5 degrees, does that mean that the Earth is not in perfect balance? If so, does that have any effect on the human condition? The axial tilts of a planet have little to do with anything meaningful. No, it does not have an effect on the human condition. Question 94. Are the elders human? No. Question 95. 3. Is this a relevant question? No, but to answer the first two, being chipped is actually a reality, but for practical purposes only. Don't concern yourself with it though. If the time comes when you have to make the choice to be chipped or not, regardless of the consequences, simply do as you wish. Question 96. I think it's obnoxious to think that you know everything. Wow. I wasn't going to respond to any more posts of this sort, but this is a very interesting statement indeed. But alas, I am genuinely confused, so maybe you can enlighten me. When did I say, or even allude, to the idea that I know everything? Please tell me because I really would like to know. You do have the right idea, though, because anyone who would dare make such a statement is a liar and a hoax, but I did not, and I am neither. Question 97. So we should A. Fear the coming of 2012, B. Live in fear of the swine flu, C. Live in fear of alien invasion. And we should not A. Read anything which might help us understand our relation to our internal spiritual universe. This is what I've gathered from your post so far. Really? Because except for that last part, I stated quite the opposite. I believe I explained why you should not do the last statement in an earlier response. What are you seeing now? Question 98. I don't really want to be cryptic, but once you reach a certain point in life and experience enough, then you step into it big and join the inside circle of the cosmic joke. Kind of like a movie that I watched that came out a while ago. Anyway, I'm not going to forsake my own happiness and that of the ones that I love just to directly answer someone's question, and neither will the OP. Believe me, I want nothing more than to share with everyone my intimate understanding of karma's workings, but our soul are binary and will only let me define what isn't. I really hope that helps. Exactly. Question 99. Don't worry about it, I was only joking. I know about losing passwords and emails also. You did not have to explain anything to me, though. It's just that you both sound so in tune, if you know what I mean. Perhaps there is a reason for that. Could it possibly be that we know something that you don't? Question 100. Are you still a part of the Luciferian bloodline? If so, has there always been a positive faction, or was the positive side introduced sometime recently? If you are not part of the Luciferian bloodline, when was your bloodline introduced here on Earth? I am not a part of Lucifer. There are a few like me on this planet, and we do not all have the same bloodline. Question 101. Referring to the hidden hand post, he/she states during the coming harvest, there will be a three-way split. The negative will join Lucifer's soul group in fourth density negative, who will, if anyone, accompany those going to fourth density positive. There are already beings awaiting those who will be coming to fourth density, and a few that will be coming to help out there, also. So nobody will be needed to accompany anyone, although beings like me might decide to go along too. Question 102. Who will accompany the lukewarms and provide them with the catalyst while they repeat the cycle? Does it matter? You most likely won't even notice the switch anyway. Question 103. Is 2012 the correct year of harvest? Why are you concerned? Does it even matter? Question 104. What kind of changes, physical and spiritual, can we expect to take place as we approach the coming harvest? How soon will the physical changes, earthquakes, tsunamis, extreme weather, start to take place? Well, as far as physical goes, you'll see some dramatic climate changes, raging storms, etc. Basically, what you are hearing about, not only 5 times, 10 times worse. How soon? It really is of little value to you. Do not be concerned about that which is happening around you. Work on yourself. Question 105. What will happen to my cats during the upcoming harvest? Do they graduate to a fourth density cycle? Kitty heaven or kitty hell? That's a funny question, but they will stay here. There will be animals in fourth density though, if that's what you wish to know. Question 106. What is the significance of the number 13? More specifically, 12 plus 1. Interesting. I didn't expect you people to know anything about the role numbers play. Why do you want to know? Are you planning on performing a ritual? Question 107. Why does there need to be a bad guy? In reality, there is no bad guy. But perception-wise, well, they show you what you aren't as opposed to what you are. Question 108. And isn't good guy slash bad guy extremely subjective? Yes. Final post of November 19th. With that last question answered, that is the end of my time today. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you all for your productive questions. Good night. November 20th, 2009. First post of November 20th. I was looking through the beginning of this thread to see if I missed any questions, and I have made a grave mistake that needs to be corrected. It would seem that I misinterpreted a question at the beginning of this discourse. There's a reason for my mistake, and now I completely understand why I received the reaction I did a few days ago. Here is the question in my subsequent response. You say that most of these subjects here are nonsense. Which subjects hold merit? All the ones that pertain to alien invasion, 2012 apocalypse, swine flu, and the like. Most others are completely irrelevant to your lives personally. Now, what needs to be understood is that I am reading and answering these questions as fast as possible. When I saw this question, I read what I had wrote and somehow assumed that the asker was asking me to elaborate on these subjects I believed were nonsense. I blazed through that question, and while reading the question, I, in some twisted way, added the word don't before hold. I accept the fact that a mistake was made, and it most likely has had a negative effect on this discourse. A few members of the site have pointed that out in some of their statements, which I ignored for the fact that I know I would never knowingly give that answer to a question of that nature, because it wouldn't be true. Those who oppose that statement from the onset are wise, because if I did in fact support that view, I would be a hoax and a fraud. Those who have continued onward in this discourse can be sure, from my answers, that this is not the case. If I could go back and edit what I stated I would, and I would put this explanation there too, but I cannot. As I have said throughout my messages here, and I will state it again for certainty, do not worry about the before mentioned topics that I stated. They are of no use to you at this point in time, and hold no relevance to your lives personally. Now, that said, I will answer that question again and write. Which subjects hold merit? Only the ones that hold a practical value, not theoretical. If it promotes fear, terror, or doom, do not promote it or even believe it. This world was not meant to end the way most are describing. Now, I will continue to answer the questions. Question 109. Let's say a farmer plants a crop of corn, waters it, and cares for it for a season, then rips the resultant corn from the stalk and eats it. From the perspective of the corn, is the farmer a good guy or a bad guy? Though I'll grant that I hope this is not a good analogy for our particular situation. No, it wasn't a good analogy, but was a pretty funny concept. First off, corn does not have a perspective. Its sole purpose is to be used as fuel in the body of whatever eats it. While it is conscious to a certain degree, it is nothing like the conscious you or I experience. Think of it like this. In a modern day video game, more specifically an RPG, there are certain items in place whose sole purpose is to benefit the character or player of the game. Say if, while playing the said RPG, you acquire a baseball bat, and you use it on an enemy, and it breaks in two. Does that mean the person who broke the bat is bad? No, because the baseball bat's sole purpose was to be used in the game to benefit the player. So really there is no harm done here. There is a good reason why fruits and vegetables do not have central nervous systems, nerve endings, or a brain. While it was not happened to me personally, I am relatively sure that being eaten alive is not a peaceful or pleasant occurrence, hence the reason why certain things are lacking in certain areas of their existence. And you would be surprised to know how closely our reality resembles modern-day video games. Question 110. I wondered about the soul status of animals also. Where do they fit in? They are conscious to an extent, some more than others, but aren't here for the same reason you are. They are here to act as an early catalyst if you want to develop your compassion before the fourth density. Why do you think people get so upset when they see a suffering animal? Compassion. Now, to mention, if you look beyond the prisons called zoos, most are pretty awesome looking and acting. Question 111. That may be, but if it's truly our choice, then couldn't we choose to not have a bad guy? Of course you can, and it is highly recommended that you don't try to be a bad guy. It's counterproductive to why you are here, and will ensure you being here for quite a long time. P.S. All of my edits are for spelling purposes only. I have seen that you people place high emphasis on spelling, but it is not possible for me to answer as fast as possible without suffering some spelling errors, as I am sure you make the same mistakes. The thoughts come as fast as I am typing them, Sorry for any misspellings. Question 112. What is your thought about planning and not caring? Planning and caring are one thing, incessant preoccupation and worrying is another. You do realize that these things will happen regardless of what you plan, right? Even so, the fact still remains that the things which you are worrying about have not even come to fruition, and you have more important things to be doing at the moment. I suggest, yet again, instead of focusing on the objective outer world, you should put more emphasis and work into your subjective inner world. Question 113. Should we plan and make sure the plan follows, or should we just go with the flow and not worry about a thing? Definitely the latter. Question 114. Have we made a plan before we were born? Yes, but as you surely realize, plans never work out as planned, especially when you forget the plan once you have gotten to your destination. Question 115. Are there pre programmed occurrences that push us towards the accomplishment of this plan? Yes, but you, as a general population, don't pay enough attention to them. Question 116. Is there such a thing as failing or not meeting our full potential while we exist as what we are now? Yes, it happens all the time, but you don't need to meet your full potential to pass this level, and most won't meet that potential anyway. Question 117. What do you think about randomness? If everything that you did or that happened to you was pre planned, you wouldn't have much choice in the matter now, would you? Question 118. How do you equate the relation between free will and determinism? A false philosophical concept taught to the less developed. There is a reason why I have repeatedly told you people not to go to outside sources for information of the sort. Once the wrong information is ingrained at a subconscious level, it's pretty much game over. At least this time until the restart button is pressed. Question 119. Forgive me, my friend, if I sound naive, but should we as a species be living in accordance with the universal laws? What an important question, but it will never happen. If you did, there would be world peace, and that's not what this place was designed for. There is a reason why all world peace demonstrations, arguments, and declarations fall on deaf ears. Question 120. Do we have an expiration date set for the vessel that we are currently utilizing? Not a set date, but if it wasn't already completely obvious, it will happen eventually. Immortals, in a physical third density sense, don't exist, and Comte de Saint Germain did not live as long as his followers believe, although he was an interesting character. Question 121. Can karma be zeroed out various times in one lifetime? No. You will have to do your time. Question 122. What is the purpose of karma? Not its original name, but it balances and is used as a guideline of how much punishment you receive if you break the laws. Question 123. Does karma imply the existence of a higher or absolute morality? What do you think? Question 124. If you see the future, how should you act to make it happen? Okay. Seeing the future is a concept that is grossly misinterpreted, and this is where many prophets fail. This galaxy runs on a cyclical rather than linear schedule, just to put that out there. To predict linear time would be all but impossible, because it would follow in a straight line and not repeat, therefore allowing for a infinite number of occurrences to happen from one moment to the next. Basically why quantum mechanics would be right if the time we ran on was linear, but it's not. Now, if the knowledge of a cyclical cycle is passed down, it is possible to make extremely good, educated guesses as regarding what is going to happen. Not perfect by any means, but still relatively accurate. If you are not educated in the real nature of this galaxy's timetable, do not attempt to make guesses and go public. You will most likely be wrong and be made a fool of. Question 125. What would you say about one that is choiceless? No, but some would love for you to believe that. You know you have a choice, even if others tell you that you do not. Who do you place your trust in? Yourself or others? Question 126. And it looks like for this question, it looks like it wasn't properly pasted in here. It's just a repeat of the last answer. So we're just going to read the answer for the question, and it's missing. No, you'd be surprised at how many mistakes others make. Even me, I made one with a earlier question, but it was corrected. Especially animals. Example, roadkill. Question 127. What do you think of David Icke? A tool being used, passing along a message of fear, paranoia, distrust, and disrespect. Not to mention those dreadful reptilians that some believe exist and run this planet. But he really does think he's spreading the truth, although that is far from the truth. Question 128. What's the purpose of development? Elaborate. That question is too general for me to answer without doing a bad thing. Question 129. Is there an end to development? Yes, to a certain extent. Question 130. Do you see capitalism being maintained for many lifetimes on Earth? Do you know about any other political economical systems which have not yet been explored by humans in a social or ideological sense? If so, could you give details about such systems? All of these are pretty irrelevant, as you are in no position to capitalize on anything that would be answered here. It's of no practical use to you at all. Question 131. What do you think about a one-world government? Don't fear that which you do not understand. Question 132. Do you reckon that decentralization of power, in a political sense, on Earth will be a commonality soon? Yes. Question 133. Will you now stay longer to answer the questions in the queue? No offense to the people that had their questions answered straight away, but there are plenty still waiting for answers. No. I can only be here until tomorrow, then it is done. Sorry. I will attempt tomorrow to only answer the most cause-furthering questions and skip all the rest. You people are good question askers, a very insightful bunch. Question 134. How can I make the best of this experiential opportunity? What is the big tip that you would give to improve our experience here? Besides knowing and acting upon who we are, where we are, and why we are here. I'll put it like this, and it's very simple. Always attempt to do the right thing. Don't come back with some, oh, what's the right thing? Why? Because you know what it is. Question 135. What technique or method you would suggest for us to figure out all that we need to know? Listen to your inner voice. Question 136. Is there anything that we can possibly lose? I wouldn't say that directly, but in a way, yes. Question 137. How can I tell what is me and what is not me? You have to figure that one out for yourself. Once you do find out, you'll see how simple it was the whole time. Question 138. What makes existence manifest itself? Power of thought. Question 139. What is the first cause? The Supreme One wishing to experience itself. Question 140. What's better than water? Freedom. Question 141. What is the one book that you would take to a deserted island? Easy. The Rules of Life by Richard Templar. Question 142. Who is the greatest personality that ever put his feet on Earth? No individual should ever be placed above the whole. Question 143. Is there an uncertain outcome for the future? Ultimately, no. Question 144. Is the prime determinant in any outcome up to us, our individual personal power? Ultimately, yes and yes. Question 145. Is this bloodline you speak of the most current planetary origins, older or alternate or augmented engineered biology? Depends. What planet are you talking about? Question 146. Is this bloodline actually capable of exacting their desires, plans, or destiny? Yes. Question 147. Do they have sufficient ability to overtake our own species, bloodlines, largely unrecognized abilities and qualities, Homo luminous included? The plan is not to overtake anything. I hope you're not tuning into that It guy or the Laura Knight Jadzik character. Question 148. What are our best abilities to focus on in determining our futures? Making choices. Question 149. Why does the world seem to have got real crazy in the last decade or so? It's always been crazy. You just haven't been around in enough time periods to notice. Question 150. Why do you assume we're all boxed in? I was speaking not so much in the individual sense, but generally speaking, almost all the world is in the box that I mentioned, some more than others. Although there are a few awake people around, there are far less than has been claimed. Question 151. Does Obama play a part in your plans? The same part that all the other puppets play. It's funny how a lot of conspiracy theorists make the claim that the current leader is trying to rule the world or is the Antichrist, but when that said leader's time is up and they leave office, what do they do next? They just slap the same old label on the new puppet, not aware of what's really going on. The bloodline has been in power for thousands of years, yet it always seems to be the current leader slash figure who is the bad guy, but that's done on purpose, of course. I think I'll give you a good hint for those of you who think the president makes all of the decisions alone. Do you even know the names of the people on his cabinet? Question 152. Can we, as human beings of the planet Earth, claim it as ours? Claim whatever you like, but that won't make it true. Question 153. In light of your question to us, will Biden become president within the next year? He will if Obama is assassinated, and people are planning on making attempts. That probably isn't going to happen within the next year, if ever. And I sure hope it doesn't. He is a good hypnotist. Question 154. Do our souls travel from planet to planet, gaining strength and knowledge until we reach our ultimate goal of ruler of the universe? No. As far as I know of, you stay where you are to accomplish the tasks that you are here to do. Question 155. How do we free ourselves from space-time? Win the game. Question 156. When you die, do you remember your loved ones, or does it all go away? A part of you always does, but you consciously forget when you come back, assuming you have not beat the level. Question 157. Are you and your family just a bunch of crazy psychopaths with tons of money, planting all these horrendous conspiracy theories about yourself so that once sheeple wake up from their stupor, they fall into paranoia? No. Most people do it to themselves by listening to outside sources, and they never really awake from their stupor. They merely change positions in their sleep. It's a condition that is no better, but could arguably be worse than the position they were originally in. Question 158. You said you hope it doesn't because he is a good hypnotist. What is your interest or agenda here? He is a good hypnotist, and I do not wish death upon anyone on this earth. I am here to help you. Question 159. What is the significance of the yuga that are mentioned in Hindu philosophy? How do they tie in with the so-called harvests mentioned on a few places on the site? It runs along the same lines of all end time scenarios. Most people in the Western Hemisphere associate what is happening with their respective religions. The truth is contained within sacred texts, as within yourself, but in the case of the text, it is hidden in a forest of darkness while inside yourself, You hide it from yourself. A little catalyst help, of course. Question 160. Some Buddhism from you, Illuminator13? Interesting. Buddhism is corrupted, and I wouldn't accept any promoted religion or dogma. It's all been tampered, if not outright created, by the bloodline. Question 161. Does our soul's future depend on ourselves individually or collectively on humanity? Right now, individually. Collectiveness or oneness will occur later. Question 162. Would we keep coming back on the earth through reincarnations till entire humanity reaches a certain level spiritually? Or would the individual cycle stop and move on as soon as the individual gathers and understands everything he/she had predetermined to go through? The latter. Question 163. If you are here to help, why not tell us all you can without crossing those boundaries which you are scared? Sorry might not be the right word of. I have been, and I am not scared of any boundaries. I do respect and honor them. There is a big difference between adhering to something because you are scared of it and adhering to the same thing because you respect and honor it. It's the main reason why children who get beat for doing wrong continue to do so. Besides, I fear nothing because there is nothing to be feared. Question 164. So H and was bloodline and you are a walk-in? Can you explain the circumstances around your walk-in? To help you see what you are through my actions. Question 165. How does one measure spiritual understanding of these concepts you write about? Take what resonates, discard the rest. Question 166. As a walk-in, are you limited by the shell you walked into? Physically, yes. Question 167. What happens or happened to the one you replaced? Okay, I think I understand what you are asking, so let me make things clear and simple. Beyond fifth density, you don't have to have a body if you don't want to, but it is an option. I was a spirit who took the task to come here and help you out, although I could be likened to most of those who dwell here. I woke up rather quickly and have been doing my task ever since. Question 168. Is karma fair and created by the Supreme Creator, or is it the creation of a lesser, neutral, or evil god? There's nothing unfair about karma. You get what you put out. You can take responsibility for what you did and received, or you can play the "why does this always happen to me" victim role. Question 169. If we are bound by the laws of karma and reincarnation, how can it be fair when people are kept in the dark about it for lifetimes and believe they never have to pay for anything they can get away with in this life? Because they don't seek understand and then they don't level up. So in their next life, they are repaid for what they did and they cry, "For me," but they can choose to make things better by doing what they are here to do. Question 170. And when we are programmed with an instinctual nature, which compels us to create bad karma for ourselves, plus the negative influence of our culture? You're not, but you are conditioned to believe so, and they, negative influences, are there to show you what you are not. Question 171. How important is the power of visualization and intent? Most will never be able to make physical visualization manifestations here, if that's you are asking, so the power is relatively unimportant. Intent is imperative, and there is no reason, not matter what you do, what happened to you, and how you feel, to harbor a negative intent towards anyone or anything. Sure, accidents do happen, and they do harm your record. They are less damaging if you meant well and did not pre plan whatever you did. Question 172. Corrupted or not, it often says exactly what you've just said outrightly, created by the bloodline or not. Correct? And, fellow observer, belief in reincarnation or the cessation of the cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth due to enlightenment is a dogma, no matter if it's you, an organized religion, or a silent conglomeration of 13-foot desert cactuses saying it. For the most part, and I meant dogma in the sense of a group or congregation type of agreeance, as in a group of people coming together to organize what is right and wrong. Think Council of Nicaea. Question 173. Is this why we are only required to settle 51% of our karmic debts? Because that, in itself, is hard enough to do. This game is supposed to be difficult, but not impossible. Question 174. Is the only way out of our karma to ascend, or can we choose another path? And can a higher spiritual being choose to take on our karmic debts for us? As far as I know, bettering yourself and making better choices is the only way. And no higher spiritual being would choose to relieve you of your debts. You have to take responsibility. Question 175. Assuming that you are familiar with the concept of the wanderers, are there any examples of sixth density negatively polarized wanderers in our historical past, considering ours to be a third density world? To an extent, yes, and not that I am aware of. Question 176. What is the best way to recover from severe depression, to the point where the person can't even feel most feelings anymore? Simply choose to look on the brighter side of things. Do not allow negativity to become your primary mode of operation. Be grateful for your life and figure out why you are here. Question 177. I take it that you don't want to answer my question, or have you missed it by a chance? Now, is that and question? My original question was not really about what you like about the person of his, but rather the message. I am either not that far into the questions yet, or I missed it. I have seen some of Krishnamurti's works, interesting in a philosophical way. I am not going to say he is barking up the wrong tree, but figuring things out for yourself is a better route to go. Question 178. What is in store for humanity? Nothing to be afraid of, regardless of what others tell you. Question 179. I've invested a lot of what I am into loving and living for my family in this reality, as that is what makes me happiest. Can I stay attached to their souls? As I dig them quite a bit. Of course you can. Emotion is here for a reason. If you weren't supposed to care or love people on this planet, the emotion would be here. Question 180. When passing on spiritual info to friends that I find truthful and interesting, am I breaking a law? And will it have karmic influence on me and them? It all depends on how much you have told them. They have to learn on their own, and they will in their own time. Keep it simple and don't go into detail. If you are seen a cryptic or evasive, then it is good, like me earlier in this thread basically, because you know why you do what you do. If they want detail, I would tell them to go beyond the superficial into their inner world. Question 181. Would you consider Earth more boarding school as opposed to a prison? This place can be seen as three different things in three different respects. A prison because you are not free to leave unless you do your time, in a manner of speaking. This is generally what the lesser developed see it as, because they see all the negativity and they know they can't exit the matrix like in the movies. A school because, well, what are schools for? A game because if you look closely, well, you'll get the picture. The bloodlines go along this path because they are on the up and up, and they know who they are, what they are here to do, why they are here to do it. So while you're at it, why not have fun with it? Final post November 20th. Okay, time up for today. Tomorrow will be the last day I can answer questions, so I will answer those which I deem to be of more or less importance. Have a good afternoon and night. November 21st, 2009. First post, November 21st. I wish to light up the darkness that surrounds their supreme being. Supreme One. Question 182. I know for a fact that some of the replies posted on this thread are untruths. Some of the things said can be picked up from anywhere. Just read a few posts on some of the threads on ATS and you get the general idea. Any fool could purport to being an Illuminati, informed being, spiritual being in human guise, or anything else for that matter. Furthermore, though there are some powerful bloodlines, they aren't the deciders, just slightly higher up puppets on the puppet scale. They too are shielded from the most sacred knowledge and power. This OP really and truly appears to be an attempt at deceit to those willing to listen, and it very much reminds me of a forum once where some of the posters were so egotistical and couldn't stand their posts being disagreed, probably a medical condition, that they used their ISP multiple email address / screen name facility to the max and were found to be posting to themselves with self-appreciating remarks pertaining to be from some other poster. The entire charade was a totally fictional ego fest, and this looks entirely the same. One would presume posters on ATS would be more wary of such pretense, given the nature of conspiracy theories and the fact that most are / should be looking for reality in very real terms. I really do not have time for this verbal sword fight, but it would seem that I must. First statement. What an interesting sentence. One that anyone who disagrees with my message could say, by the way. But the interesting part about it is the fact that you made the statement, but not provide any examples to support it. One would think that if you truly believed in what you said, you would have at least given one example and an explanation as to why it is an untruth, especially on my last day here. Interesting. But you were still open to provide an example before my last post, so I can look at it, but I am sure you won't. Second statement. Again, you make statements, but provide no examples as to why it is the case. Do you have a hidden agenda here? No, I believe it is pretty much out in the open. Third statement. You are correct. There are some powerful bloodlines who are not the deciders, to use your term. I could have told you that, though. Fourth statement. Again, you are shifting the conversation to these vague other threads. You are subtly implying that I am doing exactly what these stated, even though it was not, threads OP did. Now, I have stated that I was using two ISP addresses, and the moderators surely know, and I have no need for multiple accounts, which they would know if I had any. I am in full control of my ego, but I seriously doubt you are. Fifth statement. You are clearly attempting to persuade the readers into your non-productive line of thinking by indirectly stating that if they do not agree with what you are saying, they are not wary of such pretense given the nature of conspiracy theories and the fact that most are, / should be looking for reality in very real terms. Do you put out propaganda for a living? Perhaps US Army psychological operations? PSYOPs? Question 183. You mentioned the Supreme One before. Again, who and or what is the Supreme One? The one who created this game, and the one who you will be returning to once you complete it. Question 184. How would a person know that they have accomplished all their lessons for this cycle? You wouldn't know until after you died or until the great harvest comes. Question 185. After you're gone, this great information ceases. We understand about seeking within for the answers, but is there any books, information that would provide us more information? Where should we look? There are some, but I would really rather tell you to look to your inner self for guidance. Many call it your conscious. Question 186. Is sex, self-gratification, and thoughts on the subject a hindrance to our spiritual growth? Not if you do not overindulge, let it take over your life, or allow it to dictate your choices. Use temperance. Question 187. Did we have a choice to come here to this prison planet, Veil of Forgetfulness? Is this a privileged place to be? If not, what horrible things did we do to get here? I would not call it a prison. You chose to come here to develop yourself. You did know horrible things. Question 188. How many dimensions and densities are there? There are octaves. If you complete this one, you can either be reunited with the Supreme One or go on the next adventure, or octave. Question 189. Will suicides be punished in any other ways than just losing one incarnation? All I'm going to say is that life is sacred. Never take yourself out of the game. Question 190. Is helping others in their spiritual growth important to our growth? Helping others in general is important. Question 191. Are we all alien souls from different planets who chose to represent and take back our lessons to them? Or are we taking it back to the source? No. Question 192. Has military or elite time traveled using alien technology to our past and changed the course of history to their own benefit? Not to say they haven't toyed with the idea, but the answer is no. Question 193. Will fourth dimension have a concept of time? If you mean time as in how you perceive it to be now, then no. Question 194. Also, do you recruit? No. There is nothing for me to recruit for. I have no intention on becoming some idolized guru. Question 195. So if we are being warned about an upcoming ascension to a new dimension or whatever, they are leaving out the fact you must die to attain this. That is exactly what Heaven's Gate thought. You witness what became of that. No, dying is not necessary if you go in the harvest. Question 196. When we reincarnate, do we have a choice in the lessons? Yes, but as I stated before, you will be, more or less, challenged by the other lessons as well. Question 197. How can I contact beings smarter than myself to assist me? Don't. Question 198. Is it counterproductive if I try to find out through past life hypnosis? Will I be just creating some fiction in my mind? Yes. And I can't be positive about that because the hypnotist could also create false memories. Question 199. Are there intraterrestrials underground? Reptilian? Draconian? Are we food to them? No, you are not food to them. Question 200. I'm doing my best to eliminate any negative actions towards others. Not because I'm afraid of a god or hell, but simply because it's the right thing to do and the right path towards a better life for the people surrounding me. I'm sorry, I'm moving fast, but if you really think and follow that last statement, then you are doing fine. Question 201. Is it logical to assume that a human living on Earth during this time has been reincarnating as a human onto Earth for quite a while now, because he/she has still not learned the lessons necessary to ascend to a fourth density? Yes. Question 202. If thought is creation, and this creation affects every aspect of our reality, then is it possible that a vast amount of like-minded souls could change the present reality as we know it? Possible, yes. Question 203. If this body is what holds us, is there a way to transcend it? Not if you haven't figured out and live according to the lessons you were supposed to learn. Question 204. Check your messages before you leave, big guy. I don't think I'll have time for that, but if I do, I will. Question 205. ATS was created for people already thinking outside the box. No, they just go outside of one box, so to speak. I am sure most of them are still in a box. Question 206. I also want to know, can one repair upon past negative actions in this lifetime? Is self-judgment and repent enough? For example, every time I stole, I add to the tally X amount of lifetimes? In sense, no. You will have to pay for what you did to work off the negative karma, but do not continue to make the same mistakes. Question 207. When does the polarity dilemma end? When we reunite with the source? As you move up, polarity plays less and less a role, and when you beat the game. Question 208. I just read a thread by Hidden Hand, and it looks practically the same and probably the same person. I am not Hidden Hand. I get the feeling this person really yearns power and craves elitist status. That just goes to show how misguided your feelings are. I want neither of those things. Anyone who knows Masonic law, for example, would know that it's a hoax, and those further up will know for certain that the creator hasn't authorized such a blatant attempt at misleading well-meaning truth seekers on the path to enlightenment. Really? Are you a Mason? What degree? Have you no respect? Why did you not capitalize Masonic law? There are truths which most people know in some of these replies, though unlike Hidden Hand, there will be a new currency in end of 2008, early 2009. Prediction is more vague. Apparently you don't know as much as you think you do, or you would have realized predicting the future 100% is not possible. While nobody should attempt to predict the future at all, if you know the true nature of this galaxy's time, it is possible to give a more or less accurate snapshot of what's going to happen, but not the exact dates. He was going off his own knowledge, and maybe if he was higher up, he could have given you the predictions you obviously were looking for and desire, but he was not. Wonder if Hidden Hand / OP still has an opinion on whether San Francisco and Damascus will still exist in 2010, which is in about 6 weeks. Hidden Hand doesn't think so. The absolute truth. Your truth is far from absolute, and your username is not only pretty arrogant, it implies something about your true nature. You say I yearn for power and crave elite status, but are you really telling the truth? Maybe it's power and elite status that you desire, but, and I am glad for this, you are not going to achieve it. No, I've had enough of this verbal swordsmanship, and I won't be replying to any other posts from you unless it's one about your lack of examples. Have a good day, sir. Question 209. When I meditate, I call my dead father and daughter and get a huge energy wave come through me, and my skin is on fire and an overwhelming feeling of love. Can you tell me what is happening, please? Is it them? Is it my higher self, or is it something else altogether? Many thanks. That could be dangerous. I won't try to make contact with the dead. While it is a possibility you reach them, it is more likely your message was intercepted. I cannot be certain, but it is most likely what happened. Question 210. Illuminator, are you part of the group that HH speaks of? Are there many groups? Does it even matter? Care to elaborate on anything else he said? It seems in line with what you have been saying so far. No, but I am in contact with them. Number 2, yes. Number 3, no. Question 211. If when we graduate up densities and we become a group soul, does that mean we will lose our consciousness as a single being? You concentrate, yes. Question 212. What do you know about Supreme Master Ching Hai and the Kuan Yin method? I've not heard of those. Question 213. Regarding diet. Is genetically modified food, GMO, as bad as meat? Sugars. Do the above hinder or block us in our spiritual growth? No, but it does hinder you physically and mentally. Question 214. HH talked about the Great Harvest coming soon. Is this the only time we souls are able to move up the ladder? Or is it possible after every death? No, but if you miss the harvest, it will be harder. Question 215. I would love to believe the OP, but I have some trust issues, but I will take in what you have said, but I'm going to keep an open mind about it. I'm not asking to be believed, and for the matter, I do not want to be blindly believed. Take what you want from my messages and discard the rest. Question 216. I get the feeling that our bodies are like a space capsule. We see with our eyes, cameras that feed our soul information. We hear with our ears, microphones that feed our soul information. We touch with our hands and such, probes that feed our soul information. Ultimately, we are not actually experiencing any of these senses firsthand. Is this right, or am I way off base? Interesting. There is a delay between information sent and received by the mind and the body. Look it up and you'll know what I mean. Question 217. What about your demeanor is remarkable to our kind? Well, I don't experience the wide range of extremes of emotion that you do. I am pretty much on the positive side all the time. I've never felt anger, hatred, rage, despair, depression, or any sort of bad intent to be inflicted on another being. The worst I have experienced is what you would term annoyance, and even then, if I experience it, I will exit the situation. Not to mention, I always see the bright side of things. I am frequently questioned as to why am I happy all the time? My answer and clue to them, because I choose to be. Question 218. Have you heard of Dr. Brian Weiss? I have not heard of him or read anything that he wrote, so I cannot answer your question. That said, I will just say that it is not in your best interest to accept information from outside sources. Question 219. Does the practice of yoga have any spiritual benefits? For instance, being able to connect with our spiritual side better. No, but it does help the body and mind. Question 220. Is there such a thing as a soulmate? If so, What is the true purpose of soulmates? I've always thought this to be a contradiction to the theory that we are all one, which, if that is the case, everyone is everyone's soulmate. See, the truth is inside you. A soulmate is, generally speaking, a romanticized concept applied to a happy relationship. In reality, you have thousands, if not tens of thousands, of soulmates, people you could be extremely compatible with. You choose the qualities of a person you are attracted to, and there will be thousands with those same qualities, which you would find out if you dated a lot of people. That's why when soulmates die, the person typically will tend to meet another person if they allow themselves to. Question 221. Anyway, I'm not going to forsake my own happiness and that of the ones that I love just to directly answer someone's questions, neither will the OP. Can you explain what that means? How will you forsake your own happiness by directly answering someone's questions? Okay, I will state that karma has a funny way of getting back at you when you break a law. While I do choose what I feel, if I go around breaking the laws, things can get pretty difficult for me. Besides that, if I did break the laws, I would be doing something contrary to my being, and that could cause me some disturbances. Question 222. Is there cures for diseases such as type 1 diabetes that aren't publicly available? I do not work in any government laboratories, so I honestly do not know. Sorry. Question 223. Is it true that alien abductions are sometimes tried to trigger advancements in the abductee? The only person who can trigger the advancement of oneself is oneself. Question 224. If we were to focus on what's happening in our vicinity, what's important to us, what are we to consider if we have memories of aliens walking us up at night and talking to us? Not that I think aliens are necessarily aliens, mind you. That situation wouldn't happen. Most likely, if that's really what you remember, you have false memories. Question 225. I have not heard of him or read anything that he wrote, so I cannot answer your question. That said, I will just say that it is not in your best interest to accept information from outside sources. If this is so, why would it be in our best interest to accept information from you then? Like I stated in an earlier reply, there are people who can tell you the truth, but you are less likely to accept it as such if you do not see it for yourself. You have to have a aha moment, so to speak. Now, I will say this, do not accept my information on the premise that I am correct. Ponder what has been said here, take what you resonates, and discard the rest. The same method could be used in other sacred texts and manuscripts, although, depending on how developed you are, you may get things confused and accept the wrong parts. Question 226. Does seeing a set of numbers 111, 222, 333, etc., constantly on a daily basis signify anything? You are seeing them constantly on a daily basis, yes, but if not, beware. You may be putting value on that which has none. Question 227. I have a feeling I am here to wake myself up from this illusion, but in order to do that, I must be willing to wake up others since we are all one. Does this make sense? Help others? Yes. Wake them? No. They must do it for themselves, but it is fine to drop hints. Question 228. Hello, Illuminator13. Would you agree that everything is relative to each other? What is good slash evil to some is not good slash evil to others? Does this mean there is no absolute good slash evil? Just tools, so ultimately, yes. Question 229. Will humanity ever grow up? Say within the next few decades? This place is more so focused on the growth of individuals as opposed to the growth of humanity in general. One by one, they all will come. Question 230. While on the subject of numbers, could you tell how numerology, astrology, palmistry, crystals tie into our lives? The things you have listed have gone astray of their origins and original purpose. They have been commercialized for the general population, so to speak. I wouldn't put much value in what's being pushed out on these subjects now. Question 231. What happens to you when you die? You take a break from this world. Death has been given a bad image to scare people into fearing it. Just look at how death is personified by the general population. A grim reaper. The images places a bad picture of death in the minds of those who see it. Really, death is not to be feared. Question 232. Hi. Q. Is it true that everything is connected to the point that all is one and one is all? Ultimately, yes. Question 233. Why do you suggest not using mantras? Do these actually work, but do so by inciting the assistance from demonic entities, or entities that do not have our best interest at heart? They have a tendency to numb the mind. Question 234. Why do you and Hidden Hand capitalize certain letters? Is this some kind of ritual? No. Question 235. Why do many groups and companies use common symbols, like the all-seeing eye and the triangle? These symbols help manifest success for such groups. 1. To show who has ownership. 2. In a way, yes. Question 236. Is the individual who uses the handle ET Man truly in contact with extraterrestrials that give him correct information? I am seeing the thread topic, but I have not read its content, so I really couldn't tell you. Question 237. Where do you currently reside? Is it above the surface or under the surface? Is it on the planet? I live on this planet and on its surface. Question 238. Also, will we know when we have completed what we need to here? And if not, will we just be returning to try again? In a way, you will know. And yes. Question 239. I am confused by the way you have portrayed Yahweh. Is he actually allowed to make decisions that are permanent? Can the elders alter these decisions? Or is it a once set, it is in stone type of power? 1. No. 2. Yes. Question 240. Does part of the ascension process involve recognizing the importance of smaller beings, such as insects and pets? Yes. Question 241. For one that is in service to others, in your opinion, what would be the best methods of showing other selves what they are without using manipulation or breaking the laws? Your actions. Question 242. In your opinion, what are the most beneficial ways of dealing with an other self that tries to manipulate you without diminishing positive polarity? Acknowledge their negativity and simply pay it no attention. I personally just leave the person/situation. Question 243. In your opinion, is it our duty to experience all that we can? It's optional, but not a duty. Question 244. In your opinion, is it a better idea to pursue these goals alone or seek the help of a clairvoyant psychic or past life regression hypnosis? Most clairvoyant psychics are frauds, and past life regression hypnosis could be dangerous depending on who the practitioner is. My advice: go it alone. Question 245. In your opinion, is it best to pursue these goals intellectually or to not pursue them and let it spiritually come to you naturally? Actively pursue them. Question 246. In your opinion, can catalyst only be negative to help positive other selves realize what they are? What are forms of positive catalysts that helps negative polarity other selves realize what they are as well? Catalysts are neutral. It's all what you decide it to be. Question 247. Okay, OP. What role do the incarnates play in the bigger picture? Different roles for different players. Cryptic, I know, but your question is too general. Question 248. Are you familiar with the 1111 time prompt phenomena? And if so, does it have any meaning? If so, what is the meaning for someone who experiences this regularly? Think of it as a timer. What happens when the timer goes off? Question 249. A predecessors of yours suggested against joining secret societies. Never, whatever the circumstances. And wondered what your take on this advice is. Don't do it. Question 250. And do you feel like Jesus in the book of Job? I don't compare myself to anyone, including Yeshua. Question 251. Forgive me, my friend, if I sound naive, but should we as a species be living in accordance with the universal laws? You could, but it's not going to happen. World peace is not a possibility here, and it's not supposed to be. This world is more a one-on-one ordeal than humanity as a whole. Work on yourself. Question 252. How do we nurture our children's spirituality effectively? Don't hit them when they do wrong, for one. Now, unless you plan on homeschooling them and never letting them experience the negativity, they will be influenced. When they get older, it is their job to conquer the darkness and set out on what they are here to do. Question 253. It looks like it's just the same question pasted again. So we're going to skip it. Question 254. 2 questions. What is the best question we could ask? 1. Okay, the best questions have already been asked. What should we be concerned about? 2. I have answered that question on numerous occasions throughout my time here. Question 255. For some reason, I've met most people during some difficult time in their lives, and I am always compelled to help them through. They, on the other hand, feel they can open up to me from the very start, and I stay around until things are good. When I notice the person is open enough to hear, I convey the importance of contemplation and reason on what a wonderful playground we have at our disposal, and that possibilities are endless. Some hear it, and some others chuckle. I feel it is right, but would like your input, please. Is this the main deal why we are here? Very interesting. If what you say is really the case, you may in fact be here for the same reason I am, even if you're not fully aware of it. I would like to speak with you more, but is not going to be possible. Question 256. I am facing a dilemma now. The world is straying from reason, and a selfish attitude is the new status quo. This hurts me day in and day out. I feel like I'm being stabbed through my 6 senses and empathy. It's also growing harder every day to avoid the poisons being pumped in our food and environment. Okay, if this is true, then I am now pretty certain you are here for a different reason than the others. Take heart in your endeavors and do what you feel you must, comrade. Show them what they truly are. Be a lighthouse, shining through the dark sea that is this world. 13. Question 257. Should I quit reading here and just work on myself? No, but when you're done, decide for yourself the truthfulness of my messages. Question 258. What civilizations are the ruins along the mid-Atlantic ridge from? One that you have heard of surely, but does it matter? Question 259. Illuminator13. I just realized something. You have the number 13 in your user ID. Usually, general people refrain from using that number due to the negativity that has been attached to it from some time. Anyways, it is supposed to signify something in your user ID. I think it's not a coincidence. If yes, can you tell us what it signifies? The number 13 is far from negative. And although it does signify something, am I going to tell you what it is? No. Question 260. Can one beat the level by going to where the others reside? No. Question 261. So H hand was bloodline and you are a walk-in? Can you explain the circumstances around your walk-in? I came here a short time ago because I knew what time it was. I wanted to help out. Question 262. How does one measure spiritual understanding of these concepts you write about? Contemplate what is written, then take what you wish and discard the rest. Question 263. How do we bypass the beliefs of others? They are like security blankets for people who choose not to think about the important things. More importantly, however, is the question: should I even bother with people who wrap their minds in beliefs? Simply choose to do so, and you should to a certain extent. There is nothing wrong with showing them what they are, as long as you do try to push the truth onto them. They will resist, as they have been taught to by their gurus. Question 264. This game called Life we play, like all games, does it have flaws slash bugs slash exploits that some people abuse? There's a infinite number of possibilities afoot in this game, and I wouldn't call them flaws. Exploits do exist by the lesser developed, the greedy, and the selfish, who know about the game and choose to take actions that only benefit them. They do get punished for their misdeeds, though, so it's not a wise thing to do. Bugs or glitches also exist, but on an individual basis. See, if an infinite number of random possibilities are happening, then it would be impossible to know what happens next. So glitches do happen, as in any game, but they are not preconceived in any way, shape, or form. The path you walk takes shape as you walk it. I mentioned earlier that one glitches is Down syndrome. Question 265. Where does the soul reside? Inside the physical house we call our bodies, or somewhere else outside of the body? To a certain extent, in your physical, which you surely realize is not a solid mass, body. Question 266. What exactly is a brain? Since it can die, it must live and it needs the body to live, and the body needs the brain. Very symbiotic. Also, can the soul be transferred from one physical body to another? Think of the brain as a video game controller for the soul. And as far as I know of, no. Question 267. What is happening to our sun? I'm guessing you noticed the lack of sunspot activity recently. Do not worry about it. Question 268. How does one achieve the full potential? Are there signs or experiences one should pay attention to? Mostly likely, that won't happen right now. If you get into the higher levels and choose to come back, you can attempt master the previous levels. It's like a famous video game you probably know of. You don't have to collect all the stars to beat the game, but if you want to, you can replay levels to do so. Super Mario 64. I actually loved that game, by the way. Off topic, I must keep focus. Question 269. What exactly do you think we are being distracted from? Almost everything in life is a distraction. TV, games, books. Sometimes we do learn things from them, but overall they serve more to distract and stop thinking, which in my case serves me well at certain times. Video games, political talk shows, TV in general, media, internet, etc. You should get the general idea. I cannot list them all because I am almost out of time. Sorry. Question 270. I don't know for sure, but check out the Flower of Life also. Don't believe all of the stuff out there about sacred geometry. There are some distortions. Question 271. What exactly are hallucinations, and why are so many military organizations interested in them? Hallucinations are more of a malfunction of the controller, brain, caused by many factors such as drugs, prescriptions, etc., than anything in a spiritual sense. Although they can inhibit your growth if they break the controller, and you won't be able to use your body to function properly, therefore effectively robbing you of any opportunities. They want to study it and see if they can produce its effects in a more controlled way. Question 272. What if some people don't want oneness? Your soul will always want oneness, but the ego, for lack of a better term, would like to remain an individual, which is why you must keep it in check. Question 273. How does one properly respond to manipulation? Know what it is, how to identify it, and then ignore its attempts when you recognize them. Research propaganda, and you'll get a good idea on what to do. Final post at November 21st. First post. Okay, my time is just about up. I'll be making one more post after this one, and then I am gone. I would like to thank you for your insightful questions. You are a smart bunch, and I hope you figure out why you are here and live according to its answers. If any of you feel like passing this on to other boards and the like, feel free to do so. It may take some time to collate the answers, so if it is too much trouble, don't worry about it. This will reach who it's meant to. I wish you well on your journey. Have fun with it, though. Life isn't meant to be serious all the time. Goodbye. Second post. My task is now complete for those with hearts to seek. Illuminator13. That's all, folks. And so that was the entire Illuminator13 AMA. What did you guys think? Write a lengthy comment. Make sure to like, subscribe to the AsLeft900 YouTube channel. Guys, I thought this AMA sucked. I know why I didn't see this for years. I found this linked on 4chan or the Law of One subreddit. I think it was a Law of One subreddit. And people talked about the Hidden Hand AMA, and obviously this came out after the Hidden Hand AMA, like a year or two after, but before the Sadini Murave Tay dialogue, which I have both of those also on my channel if you want to check those out as well. I'll make sure to remember to link them in the description. But yeah, I feel like this AMA doesn't even hold a candle to the Hidden Hand Sadini Murave Tay drama, where we kind of get a big intro to secret societies with the Hidden Hand AMA. I think everything was written very cleanly. I'm a little bit more further development with my feelings about the Hidden Hand AMA, and basically the truth radar. And one of the things that didn't quite register, because they kind of fake us out and pretend like they have a soul. The author of the Hidden Hand AMA was a very bad person. They were involved with very bad things, and so, you know, the suspicious Freemason activities and the controlling of the judges, and it's like sex trafficking stuff. It's not good. There's no, this isn't okay. They're starting wars, and they're like, oh, I'm on the service to self polarity, and it's just disgusting. So the Sadini Murave Tay dialogue gives us like quite the other polarity here, where there's like, oh, there are bloodline families or secret societies, and there's like two polarities, and we're at war. And so Illuminator13 is just like, I want to say it's like limp wristed. So you're at they say they're in communication with the secret society or the organization or the entity that Hidden Hand was a part of. They're like, "Oh, I'm just kind of a chill person." Like, bro, this is like the end of this is like World War III. Like, this is the only thing I can say is that like a nuclear war hasn't like completely like been brought into the world yet, but there's a lot of bad things that like Jesuits and the Illuminati or the Cabal or the Saudi royal family or the crime families, the Massim, like all the Knights of Malta, like what that where is this person coming from? So this was a very, very frustrating AMA. I'm very skeptical about them actually being anywhere near a service to other polarity. It just seems like if you are in a bloodline position and you keep talking about your duty, why are you it doesn't seem like they're serving the public. It doesn't seem like I don't feel like I got anything from this dialogue. Hidden Hand is like a freaking mustache twirling comic book villain, and they're as much as I hate, like sometimes I especially hate to admit it, especially after learning more about the realities of what went on with the Hidden Hand situation and what's going on with these secret societies. But they do write like a very strong theological dissertation. And Illuminator 13 really just detracts from it and then like almost like rubber bands and goes like backwards, kind of like really like I don't I want to say I want to say being in resonance with what Hidden Hand was talking about. And from my perspective, you know, as the arch magi or like a high priest, as I've really flourished into these realities, you know, sometimes there are musicians who are bad people, but they make good music or they have good songs, right? And it's kind of disturbing, or like there's a whole drama about separating the artist from its work. It's funny we have to get into this with Hidden Hand and theology, but we do. It is a very well written like 21st century theological dissertation about the realities of these concepts, how they relate to religions and secret societies and control schemes and the law of one channelings. And Illuminator 13 is just all over the place with whether like these theological narratives are like distorted or if this is like the creme de la creme. And then they say they've answered everything they needed to answer. I feel like this person doesn't know what they're talking about. It seems like they have a good, like they seem to be like a somewhat I'm sure they have like a somewhat well-rounded philosophy, but in terms of a bloodline, you know, like dialogue in a spiritual war situation with secret societies, this whole thing is just so sus. It's so weird. I'm very skeptical of this person actually being quote unquote service to others. It's just so strange. You know, and then we have Hidden Hand being evil, and we have Aristini Mirepte being kind of the other polarity of that. This is just like the freaking, I don't know if they really even know what they're talking about. And then they do reference like really weird information that I would expect, like from what I understand of bloodline stuff, to say when they talk about when someone talks about 12 plus 1 as it relates to 13, and then they start talking about, oh, that's too esoteric for you for this conversation or for this dialogue. So I feel like this person is just, I don't know if they're an idiot, but in terms of the tone that this dialogue needed to take after the Hidden Hand disaster, I was incredibly disappointed with the answers and the attitudes held by this person. I don't know if it was just a language barrier, but I think I know why I didn't see this for years and years and years. I've seen Hidden Hand, oh, and the counterpart all recommended. Now it's 2026. You just have Metatron threads on 4chan as a time traveler. I guess me kind of ceremonially taking the torch with these dialogues here. I'm not even part of a secret society though, and as far as I'm aware of, I'm not part of any secret special bloodline. Um, and I could still give better answers than this person. So it's very concerning that they're saying they have like old world power and these are their attitudes and they're supposedly on our team because the world's at war and it's like we're losing battles every day. Like this is a terrible situation. So this is just like this was actually really disturbing to read. Um, and to see them, I thought this was going to be a clone of Hidden Hand, where they're just another evil person, and we're getting information out of them. But now I'm like, what are these quote unquote STO or service to other entities doing with bloodline power? These people don't like you cannot like have power in an active warfare situation and be like limp. Oh, I've never gotten angry at anybody. It's like, what? Like, this is like, I don't know if they were written by someone who's like 16. If someone who was 16 wrote this, I feel like I could understand it. If they were part of their and they didn't speak English, I think this might make more sense. I don't know if I would say this AMA is worth skipping. I think it was worth interesting to read just to be more scrutinizing of these bloodline families or whatever. Like I was disturbed after I finished reading all this, like straight up. So I'm sure there's a quite a few like spectrums of effect of what we could chalk what this dialogue ended up being, but it just feels like an insult if there actually is any kind of STO bloodline family that is actually genuinely interested in communicating with the public. To like the knowledge shared is not, there's really no interesting knowledge shared. And again, they're like, I'm not here to talk about Hidden Hand, and then they just kind of like regurgitate like watered down Law of One in between the Secret Society, Hidden Hand perspective. So I wasn't a fan of this. I think I'm gonna kind of cut my rambling here. I might have forgotten one or two things I wanted to mention. It's okay. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm curious what people themselves thought about the AMA. Maybe there's a question that you want to type. I am very curious to see what other people think about this, and what I think about it as well. So yeah, get typing. I actually do want to hear responses. I'm not just trying to do it for the algorithm, but of course it does help with the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, that is going to do it for this installment of the Dialogue with an Elite Insider series. Yeah, I guess I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.